Well, we are back, huh? We're back at the 9 Club, everybody. Today, we have a very special guest. Mr. Mike Santarossa is with us. How are you, dude?
Doing good.
Hey, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
Reminiscing here, bro. Yeah.
Man, we were just reminiscing before the show. It happens a lot where we're like, okay, we got to save this for the show, but it always happens. We always start talking and stuff, and
Can't help it.
And not only was the Powell Skate Zone, I mean, we're just going to jump into it because was it monumental for me, monumental for Jerron, but also monumental for you as well.
Big
in
for
your
me.
come up.
Yes.
And you lived literally across the street.
Right.
So that was huge in
Right.
your, but you were already kind of doing it at that point, right? I mean, you were entering contests and stuff.
To a degree, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I grew up in Goleta, Santa Barbara, or Goleta, Santa Barbara area. Frankie Hill lived down the street from us, like from me. And so after school, I'd go down to his house. We'd go street skating for about a year before the skate zone actually opened up to the public. All the elements were outside for a while, and we would go skate there some days, and then we'd go street skating and stuff like that.
So you went to school with Frankie Hill?
He was a senior when I was a freshman.
Oh, wow.
So we would sit at lunch and look at that huge gap, and he would tell me he was going to jump down it, and I'd be like, dude, you're crazy. I don't know what you're thinking.
The one that he ollied grabbed down
The one you guys talked about.
Yeah.
He would tell, like he told you how he looked at it at lunch.
Yeah.
I was with him. I'd be like, dude, I don't know. That looks...
And when he did it, you must have been like, oh my
I wasn't there
God.
during the filming of his video parts for Powell, but like
Right.
I was like, what? He
Wait.
did it.
Damn.
Did I hear somewhere that your dad worked at Powell?
My dad worked at Powell.
What did he do?
He started in sales, left her like 2 years, and then George asked him to come back in sales. He didn't want to do it. He basically quit. From what my understanding was, he quit because he was on the road a lot doing sales. And my brother and I were over him traveling, so that's part of why he quit. And then when George asked him to come back doing sales, he didn't want to do that. George called him back again and asked him to be production manager. So
Okay.
Oh.
He wanted him one way or another.
he wanted him one way or another, which
Right.
was awesome. So that's how we ended up in Santa Barbara.
That's pretty amazing,
That
though.
is.
Because, I mean, not only are you a skater, but your dad works at one of the biggest skate companies
Right.
around.
Yeah.
And then they're about to make the best fucking skate park ever.
Yeah.
For me. I
mean-
literally to this day, that's like probably one of my favorite skate parks.
So
Really.
it goes way back. That's like I grew up. Skateboards are in the garage with the soccer balls and baseball bats and all that. Kneeboarding, buttboarding down the driveway. It was 5th grade that I was like getting into it, that I wanted to actually skate more. You know, like instead of doing Little League, I want to go skate after school instead of practice.
Right.
But it was like, this is early 80s. My dad he borrowed, I think it was Betamax at the time.
Wow.
Betamax player to bring home the first Bones Brigade video
Wow.
to show me and my brother. And it was like, whoa, there was eye-opening of what you could do on a skateboard. I used to like roam the halls of Powell, and there's like all the old black and white ads up on the hallway.
Wow.
VCJ's skeleton that he used as a like thing to like draw his skeletons from was in his office. And yeah, it was surreal to grow up in that environment, I would say.
So he worked there even before you started skating?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's
crazy.
like literally what brought us to Santa Barbara when I was 4 and a half, maybe 5.
Where were you guys
Gotcha.
prior to that?
I was born in Detroit, and then my dad moved us to Irvine, I believe, because his uncle was out in Huntington Beach area and kept, always put in his head, like, if you ever want to move out, I'll get you a job, which I think it's right here, if you don't mind.
Yes, what is that?
So this is Seco Construction Company.
Okay.
My dad's uncle was involved in construction, and he built skate parks.
Wow.
What?
Late 70s, early 80s.
Wow.
Can I see that real quick?
That's pretty sick.
This is a brochure of Seco Construction Company. Here are your questions and answers about skate parks.
That's fucking amazing.
Why should I own a skate park? Financial returns on recreational facilities are at an all-time high. Sales of skateboards have soared, and the need for places to go to skate is great. Amazing. This is pretty
Wow.
funny.
That's
Right?
so sick.
And then it has pictures of the things in here.
You're making a lot of bowls at that time. Huh?
Yeah.
And then shortly after he got the job involved in that all crashed with insurance and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he started looking for a job, and he reached out to, I believe, 3 different skate industry companies. One was Rector Pads up in Santa Rosa, California, which would have been odd. Santa Barbara enough. Santa Rosa, Santa Barbara. And then a truck company that's no longer existent. And then George Powell was like the only one that called him back and offered him a job
Wow.
selling Bones wheels before it was Powell Peralta.
Right.
And that brought us up to Santa Barbara. And
What a trip.
Wow.
Definitely.
Your family's been involved with skateboarding for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I got older and like my mom was packaging Bones Swiss bearings in our garage, I would get paid like 3 cents a box to fold those little boxes
Wow.
and put the sticker and the instructions in them.
No
Yeah,
way.
so I made some extra spending money.
I love it, dude.
That's incredible. That's
That-
3
this is-
cents? I mean, let's figure this out.
I think it was a
mean,
penny for the box and then
Okay.
like a penny for the little speed cream and a penny for the sticker.
That's amazing.
5 cents a fucking pack. That's
I don't know how
crazy.
much my mom was making off of me doing
I
Mom set you up for that.
know. Mom's like, here, you can go get a little candy at the shop. You know, here's your little nickel. Oh my God.
We're making the quota and some.
Yeah.
Did they build any parks that we would know of?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I mean, this is like, I was so young at this point.
Right,
I don't
right.
remember this. This is like what I have of that history. My brother's a pillar of knowledge on this stuff. So
Gotcha.
Older brother?
older brother, he's 4 years older than me. So
Okay.
at this time, he was 7 or 8. I was 3 or 4.
Right.
So you really started skating in junior high or high school?
Fifth grade is when
Fifth
I was
grade?
like started like dabbling more into skating. I think that was around when Animal Chin came out.
Perfect time. Not bad.
Yeah.
85-ish, whatever, and got to go to those premieres, got to go to Christmas parties, and
And see everybody in those
wow.
like I remember one of the Christmas parties was like Tony Hawk board set up, but with like a full layer of cake on top, and like in the frosting was like the Tony Hawk graphic and Caballero board, and like I lived a privileged life.
You were there in the
I
beginning
was
of those moments.
in
of
the
like,
in the heyday
Yeah.
of Powell Peralta. I was saw it from the behind the scenes.
That's amazing. But I mean, still, you're so young though, for you
Yeah.
to even remember that or even know what's going on at that point.
Right.
You know.
Right.
It's-
I was just
it's
that was
amazing.
kind of normal
Sure.
in a way, even though I knew this wasn't normal. I
Right.
wasn't looking at it like I'm living this special life, but it was
La
like
vida loca.
right.
Yeah. So that brings me to a question. When you met Frankie Hill, you've already been in all this. Were you starstruck at all, or were you just like, oh, cool, here's the
So,
boy Frankie?
I met Frankie when he was actually riding for Dogtown at that time. still.
Okay.
And
Okay.
but at that point in time, it was like he was the local legend.
Right.
And it was like my street growing up crossed over like a little footpath bridge, and it turned into a different name street, but it was the same street that Frankie lived on. If we went past his house, another buddy of mine had like a house. He had a mini ramp in the backyard and jump ramps in the front yard,
Wow.
and it was like, whoa, Frankie's here. Like, and he would just destroy the jump ramp and like show us all these things, kicking his foot off the board, and like, what? You could do that, you know? And then it was like after he left, we're trying to emulate
Sure.
what we
yeah,
just
what
saw
he
him
did.
do.
Yeah.
So ahead of his time.
Ahead of his time for
Wow.
sure. And then, but it was like one day he's over there riding full Dogtown stuff. Shortly, a couple weeks later, he comes back again. He's riding Dogtown with Bones wheels, and it's like, whoa, Bones wheel, like he's what, and it was just like saw that change. So that once he got on Powell, it was like, whoa, he's on Powell, and like my dad works for Powell, so like we had a bit of a connection, but like he's 4 years older than me, so it was like and we were just like the neighborhood kids
Sure.
with the jump ramps that would show up at that time. But it wasn't until got into like high school where I was getting better, and
Right.
like we were during the early 90s high school. It was me, him, and maybe 4 other guys that actually skated. You know, so we had to be friends.
Well, I was even going to ask, I mean, even back then, like a freshman being friends with a senior and hanging out, was that even a weird thing, or was that kind of...
I wouldn't see him during school. I'd see him a little bit at lunch sometimes, but
Got
then
you.
like during maybe passing in the hallways, but like, yeah, we weren't like...
nod to each other?
But I would be like,
Something.
as soon as school got out, I'd get home, go straight to his house, and we go skate from there. And
The common bond was obviously skateboarding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It didn't matter with the age, because I skated with older individuals at that time too.
that's how...
Well, I
And it
just
was
meant in the
just-
high school
Yeah.
atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like in the high school setting.
Totally.
Like at school, kicking it,
Yeah.
you know.
5th, 6th grade is when I started to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted a jump ramp. My dad was like, "Oh, here's this old one that's been sitting around the warehouse." Turns out it was Lance Mountain built it. There's this one poster that he has where he's doing a wall ride on like a spray painted graffiti Powell Peralta. Like that's the jump
That's
ramp
the
from
one.
that sequence.
Wow.
You're insane. I mean, this is just crazy to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I mean...
I mean, you're getting handed history
Yeah,
as like a toy.
as a toy.
Yeah.
That
And you're not even, it's insane.
yeah.
I'm at a loss for words. So now you have a jump ramp. Are people coming over to your house now?
Started having people come over. We had it for a little while, and then there was a crew of older kids. This is 5th, 6th grade, somewhere in there, and these guys were like 8th graders. I think they were. By the time I got to high school, they were all juniors and seniors and stopped skating. But during that time, they saw that I had a ramp, and like I found them because I was at a schoolyard, and they like had this terrible little ramp that they put up to the backboard court,
Okay.
trying to do wall rides. It's like, hey, I got a ramp at my house, and it's like, go over to my house, and it's like the perfect jump ramp, and like I'm still working on going off the side of it, and they were just flying off the top of it. I was like, whoa.
Wow.
So they started coming over more. I started getting better because I'm the little guy following in
Yeah.
these big kids. They're teaching me a little bit here and there,
You're
like
surrounded by talent.
Yeah.
Or good people.
decent
At the time,
skateboarder,
yeah,
good
decent
people. They
skaters.
were like, let me be a part of their crew because I have a jump ramp.
Did anybody know it was Lance Mountain's jump
I
ramp?
don't think really. I don't know.
What
I don't know
happened-
if I
that did get
really
revealed,
sold that
right?
on them, but like
Did anyone trip out that your dad worked at Powell at that point?
kind of.
Yeah.
Like yeah, a bit.
What
Yeah.
happened to the jump ramp?
I'm not sure.
Hmm.
It
Just fell
deteriorated
apart and
over
yeah.
time.
Huh. Wow. Was Frankie Hill the one who got you on Dogtown?
No.
No.
Frankie turned pro right at the end of his senior year, my freshman year. Remember him just like showing me his graphic. This is my board. Like it was like, whoa.
That's
We're
amazing.
both like tripping out. There
Senior
was
year
no,
and shit.
No party or anything like
Yeah.
No party.
Yeah,
No party.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, at least
he's, in the
if
same,
some-
he's in the same
that.
boat.
I'm in the same boat. We
I
didn't
wa-
have parties.
No.
I want to ask did people at your school recognize that he was a big pro skater? Did they care?
No, but yes.
Like certain people did probably.
Sure, like I mean, there was something different about him.
Yeah.
And people knew that he was like a top pro skater. Like I don't even me, like he was like the homie, saw that he was like on Pal and like stuff like that, but it was like had no idea he was like world
Yeah,
like,
world famous.
Everybody was like Frankie Hill, you know, like
In the skate industry, everyone's looking at him.
yeah.
But
he
at
was
school,
just
he's just
Frankie
like,
from our neighborhood.
yeah,
You know?
that's pretty rad.
But at
There's
the-
old Frank over there
Oh, Frank.
skating around.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we all were like looked up to him as like, dude, he's the legend. Like, but had no idea that like he was like #1 selling board on Pal at that time, you know, and just like, yeah, his video parts are amazing. Like we were all blown away, but like had no idea like this level of like stardom that he had
Because
hit.
skateboarding
Sure.
was still fairly like on the brink of actually becoming a really popular
Right.
thing, you
Yeah.
know. So I
True.
think even for me, like in high school, dude, there was no skaters in my high school.
No.
On some real shit where I was just like, cool. They don't know if I'm a skater. I'm cool.
Yeah.
They don't need to know my shit,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I could see how that would be pretty funny.
Yeah. I think skateboarding too is like, even if you're a skater, like you're in your own little world
Yeah.
anyway. Like people could know like, oh, pro skater, this or that, or he's really good at skating, but nobody is paying attention to that
No.
stuff in high school, you know.
Well, especially back then, right?
Totally.
When I went to a school in Laguna Hills, and before I got there, I don't know if you guys remember Tone Nguyen.
Mm-hmm.
He went to my high school before
Who?
I got. he was one of like, I don't know, but the fact I was like, Tone Nguyen is going to the high school I'm going to. I thought that was the coolest thing on the planet, but
Right.
but then no one else really cared.
Right. That's what I'm saying, right? Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Nobody
unless you
kn-
skated, unless you fully skated, you were just like in awe that this dude went to your school.
Yeah.
and then
Right.
but then-
Magic tricks. It's a whole thing, you know.
So wait, he was going to your school at that time?
Well, I was graduating, like junior high, but he was a senior, and then when I got there, he had
okay.
left. But I
The
just
year after.
knew
Yeah.
because Tyrone Romero went to school with them. They were friends. That's how they met.
Wow.
And then I was just like,
Would you go into the class and be like, where did Tone sit? I want him to
what,
sit in the
which
same-
teachers do you have?
Which
dude?
locker did he have? I want him to sit in the same locker.
He said, "What teachers did you have?"
I don't know. I just always thought that was cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always bummed because junior high, 7th grade, there was like some guys in 8th grade that skated that I would skate with all the time. They got to high school and they got to skate at lunch. There was the teacher's parking lot. There was some fiberglass benches. They all got to skate at lunch. Nobody hassled them.
Wow.
They tell me stories about it. I was in 8th grade, getting ready to go to high school.
You're like,
enough,
here we go.
Here we go. Skate sessions are on at lunch. Sure enough, they shut that down.
Oh.
As soon as I got to high school.
That year.
I wonder why. I wonder if they
it
like.
became like such a thing. Like
Oh, it did.
It was like they were having sessions out there. I think like
Wow.
Frankie
It turned
even-
into something.
Yeah, it turned into something.
Frankie's
Yeah.
filming video parts. At lunch.
Camera out.
yeah.
Lunch is only 30 minutes. They're trying to scramble.
You got to get it in real
Yeah.
quick.
He's jumping down a mountain over there.
I remember in my high school, like off-campus lunches was like the big thing.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
a little sticker on your ID card. You needed. I mean, that was like
Oh,
huge
yeah. Right. That was-
off-campus lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, off campus. Then I'm not coming back.
Right.
I mean, sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, based on how your schedule's set up.
Yeah. Or if you're
Right.
just going to go skate.
Or I'm gonna go skate. I'll see you guys later.
But you had to be like a junior or senior to do that, right?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Yes.
That's what I
don't
remember.
For my high school, that was the case.
Yeah.
But in my high school, they wouldn't let you take your board in the school, so we'd have to
Mine
stash
either.
our boards. Would
Yeah.
you? Did they make that a rule too?
That's what became a rule.
Got
Like
you.
you couldn't even
So,
Couldn't even
it
bring
to
your board.
lame.
Right.
Now you can bring your board.
school.
Right?
Can you?
I don't know.
They would. They have like
Huh?
they have skateboard racks with like it's like a bike rack for skateboards.
Right.
It had a lock on it and everything. It's
Well,
crazy.
yeah, they do have skate class at school. Not every school, but in high school they have like I know in San Diego they do like
Wow.
skate PE
I even feel like you
Yeah.
can get like
Wow.
credits for that stuff
for
now.
sure. Yeah,
That's pretty amazing.
just take it for physical. It's like physical education.
So Frankie Hill, you guys are hanging out. Oh, the getting on Dogtown.
So I got on Dogtown.
How did you get on though?
Powell, the skate. So now we're like.
We're fast forwarding a little
We're
bit.
fast forwarding a little bit. This skating with Frankie a lot during my freshman year.
hmm
Getting better because I'm skating with him and other guys. And the skate zone wasn't open; it was outdoors, and they did have the first Quartermaster Cup was out there.
It was outdoors, yes.
Was outdoors.
Hmm.
Remember, Kareem Campbell beat me by half a point.
Oh,
Wow.
I wasn't sponsored yet.
Wow.
He rides for Will Industries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm this close to. I'm half a point away from being like a sponsored skater.
That's pretty good.
that's awesome.
I mean,
pretty good,
I
right.
just remember holding on to that. Like, whoa, that guy
was
that
that
beat me
close.
was like, he only beat me by half a point. He rides for World Industries. Like,
Right.
that's like the dopest company.
That's a big deal.
It's a big
It
deal.
is a big deal.
And then the second Quartermaster Cup, I want to say, or I don't know, but they had so many of those,
Mhm.
and during that period of time, it was like kind of a seasonal thing. I mean, this window of time felt like forever, but it was such a small
super-
packed in
super
time.
short.
At one of the Quartermaster Cups, it was the one I was kind of talking about it earlier, the premiere of Video 8,
Powell Video 8.
the Powell Video 8. They had a Quartermaster Cup that weekend, and Keith Cochran, who was the team manager for Dogtown and Venture, and I think at the time he was just starting Think as a little side project.
Got you.
He was one of the judges at the contest. And during practice, Chris Sen came down from Grass Valley because it was all shops from all over
Yeah.
California that would come and compete
Yeah.
together, and the skaters were like won trophies
It's a
individually.
battle of the shops.
Battle of the shops. And Chris, during practice, him and I, like, he saw me trying something on a quarter pipe, and he's like, "Oh, have you ever tried it like this?" And next thing you know, like, we're just sessioning this quarter pipe.
Rad.
I hadn't really seen him skate yet, and then I see him, and so growing up in Powell, being friends with Frankie, I was always hanging out at the offices. I was kind of getting to the point where, am I gonna get, like, Todd Hastings, team manager at Powell, he was like started kicking me boards here and there, like, you know, I was always hanging with Frankie and, you know, in his office, so he would get me boards. And then, but there was nothing official. And next thing you know, I'm skating this quarter pipe with Chris, and we're just learning some tricks right then and there. And then I see his runs. I go over to Todd. I'm like, "Dude, you got to get this guy on Powell."
You're not even worried about yourself anymore.
No, I'm like, "Dude, hey, did you see this guy? He's like airing over the whole thing to back lip down the handrail. Like, get him on Powell." He's like, "Already talked to him." And then Keith Cochran was judging, and he came up to us both after the contest, and he's like, "Hey, I want to get you guys on Venture."
Sick.
And like, I was in a different age group, and I think I won my age group, whatever. And later that night, I went to talk to him. He's like, "No, I want to get you on the whole kit. Like, I do Dogtown and Venture." So
Wow.
that's how that happened from the
Sick.
contest.
Oh,
Back when you could get sponsored from a contest,
Yeah.
not a video.
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Real tough.
And was this was the indoor Powell we're talking about?
Indoor Powell now.
Because it went from the outdoor to the indoor.
Yeah.
Same place though. It was in the same. It was in the parking lot.
Majority
outside?
of the same elements, even.
Okay.
Same parking lot, same building.
So that's what I was going to ask: is
Yeah.
what was outside in the outdoor street course?
It started with, I think, the elements from like the Powell '89 tour.
Okay.
They used to tour with that mini ramp, and the big box truck would have elements inside that they pull out for street stuff. And I think it was 89, 90 that they bought that building in Goleta, and they just put that stuff out there. And they did am jams where they would have all the amateurs come together because they had so many riders at that time. They would bring them all for a weekend am jam session, and so that way the guys could get to know each other. And
Right.
and I was fortunate enough to be right there and be a
Yeah.
part of it, even though I didn't ride for Powell. I was like, my dad's like, "Oh, they're skating out front. Like, you should come and hang out." You know,
You're still in the midst of everything.
still in the
which is
midst of
great, so
everything, even
great.
though I wasn't. There's another crazy story was they were getting ready to go on tour. This is when they're still downtown, so probably 88 or so. Stacy, Tommy Guerrero, Kevin Harris, Jesse Martinez, and maybe Jim Thiebaud, I think. I don't know. There's somebody else who was there. They were all there getting ready to get in the van. They had a jump ramp that hooked up to a box that they were putting in the van. They're all going on the road. My mom picked me up from school and was like, "Here's your shoes. Change your shoes." Like, I went to a private school, so I didn't wear skate shoes.
Okay. You had your uniform.
I'm in my uniform, whatever. She's like, "Here's some clothes. Change into. We're going downtown. Your dad called. He wants you to come down to the office." I'm like, "Well,
How
what
old
do
were
we
you
do?"
at this point?
This is 5th or 6th grade.
Okay.
So 11, 12.
Gotcha.
So we go downtown, and they're just testing out this ramp, kind of hanging out before they're getting ready to go. And then I'm riding a Tommy Guerrero board that you could literally stand up on the nose. I had smashed it down so much.
Oh my god.
The tail was a razor tail at an angle from just tail skids. And I had a different board. It was a Bonite Steve Caballero, the dragon one, the full dragon one. I had one of those, but it was like too big and weird. I was so used to this beat up Tommy Guerrero board that I had that with me. I had the option of taking the fresh new board, pulling it out of the car. I was like, "No, I want my board that I can actually skate." Like,
Right.
do early grabs. I couldn't ollie yet. And I see Stacy huddle the guys up, and they're all kind of like looking at me. I'm just kind of standing over there in awe. I see them like look over at me and like kind of hear a rumbling. I feel like Stacy was like, "Hey, you see that kid? That's Larry Santarosa's son." Like, whatever. And next thing you know, Tommy gives me his old board that he had just taken apart.
Wow.
and I was like, amazed, just shocked. This used board straight from Tommy Grow. It had a Nodus Coppa sticker, which I had, like, I grew up a Powell boy. Like, I a Vision sticker here and there, whatever, but like his sticker job, like Nodus sticker, I knew who Nodus was, but like, I didn't know you could do that. Like, this is a Powell board and it has a different company sticker on it.
Right.
And then I'm in this little warehousey room setting up the board next to Jesse Martinez, who I'm just like kind of trembling because he's just so intimidating, of a nicest, sweetest guy.
Absolutely.
It's like, here, you need anything? Like, helping me. But it was like, he just, like, for my age at 11 or 12,
Yeah.
he was gnarly dude that, like,
yeah.
I was scared of. But he was the sweetest, nicest dude.
Best dude.
Best dude.
Definitely.
And that night, went home. It had ollie power because I could not ollie yet.
Okay.
I was learning how. I could every now and then. But, like, next thing you know, I ran in the house like, oh, my gosh, I just learned how to ollie.
Those are the best moments.
That was
right
just
there.
Yeah.
I mean, that board gave you the
Changes
powers
everything.
to do it.
Jesse Martinez has that power. He did
Yeah.
the same for me. He gave me a board. I brought it up before where I was just like, you want me to follow you back to your house? For what? For what? 'Cause I'm going to give you a board. I'm like, let's go. You know? And then everything changed after that. I was
Right.
like, this is amazing. I love skateboarding.
Right?
Damn. Did
Wow.
you have him sign it?
No.
No. It was just, hey,
I
here's a
didn't either.
board or whatever.
No.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's sick. Do you still have those boards? Do you keep any stuff that you...
So, like, it was, like I said, it was like 5th, 6th grade that I really got into skateboarding.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas of 1st grade, I got my first board. That was, before that, there was always boards in the garage.
Okay.
Like, we had one of those Quicksilver boards, the metal Powell boards,
Oh, wow.
late 70s, bright light board, one of those, like, you have to go back to see what these are. These are
Yeah.
old,
I'll
relics.
I got to
that-
Google some shit.
Yeah.
Right. If you seem like you don't know what I'm talking
I
about.
don't. But I mean,
But they were like the early, like, some of, I think, just said Powell on them. Didn't even say Powell Peralta.
crazy.
Those were in the garage that my brother, my dad even rode. Thursday nights, there was a skate park in Santa Barbara and Goleta. Abe Powell, George's son, and my dad and my brother, we would go skate Thursday nights. I remember.
Rad.
I would, like, butt board. I vaguely remember this. I was so young. I do remember getting stuck at the bottom of a keyhole and just, like, I think I butt boarded down the roll in. And I remember somebody, like, putting his board down with holding out his truck to grab
You could
on
grab
and pull
it,
me
yeah.
out. That's all I remember of that era. But it was 1st grade that, like, for Christmas, I got my own Steve Caballero.
Wow.
It was sparkly red. My brother got a blue Tony Hawk.
It's so funny though, because like most kids who get their first board in 1st grade, right?
Right.
They're getting a Kmart, Walmart, but your dad knew what the hell was up. He knew everything.
He
He
had
got
the
you the
hookup.
Steve Caballero. He got your brother the Tony
I think
Hawk.
I said I wanted that one because, like, at this point, I'd already seen some of the videos. Tony Hawk was amazing, but Steve Caballero was the idol to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
I always liked his style and just his graphics and everything like that. So that was the board that I wanted for Christmas. That's the board I got.
There you go.
But
That's
I'm sure he
awesome.
hooked you up with the badass trucks and
It
the
had
bones
the best trackers,
bearings
with the,
that your mom packaged
yeah,
up, and
it
you know.
has every plastic piece you could put on it, the mini rails,
oh,
the
yeah.
rib, the nose guard.
Got to protect that board.
Got to protect it.
I still have that one, and it has so many different holes in it
Really?
Oh, wow.
from
From drilling the
rat
yeah.
nuts, drilling the rat nuts. Yeah,
But they would make sure that shit would not rattle.
yeah,
Rat nuts.
rat nuts.
Dude, you're like, what?
I don't
you
even
talking
know
about?
what you guys are talking about. You guys are your own
So
conversation
good.
over there.
Tell him what rat nuts
Yeah,
are.
what's rat nuts?
Well, instead of a wood screw that goes right into the wood, you would drill a hole, and it was just you would screw into that, and it would, like, pinch it into your board. So I don't know. It's like
It was basically like a threaded sleeve.
yeah.
Oh,
Put it
okay.
into a
I
hole,
see what you're
and then
saying.
you screw it in.
Yeah.
So then
The
it
screw
wouldn't
had
rattle.
Loctite on it.
'Cause it would become really loose if it was just a regular traditional like wood screw.
Yeah.
It would come loose like so with these it would lock it in.
Yeah.
And then
Now,
it wouldn't have
was
that.
there like a thing on the top of the board too?
Yeah,
because you drilled all the way through and you would put it through the top.
It was like a
and then-
hexagon little top to it. There was a little sleeve that went into the hole,
Mhm.
and then there was a little bit of blue Teflon or whatever that would like.
But it
go
would,
along tight.
but you could see it from the top.
It hang over the lip.
All the stuff that they had back then is it's
crazy.
pretty funny,
So
dude.
It was pretty
insane.
funny.
Pretty funny.
I had to have them, but the mini ribs was like over the top. You remember the mini ribs?
Short
Is
ribs.
that like the
They
short
were
little
the
rails?
short little
Yeah.
rails that were on your tail.
Yeah.
That would connect to,
To
your skid plate.
skid plate. Yeah.
So you couldn't even like scratch the tail. Like if
At
it
all.
dropped
It was
in.
fully- your board's fully protected.
I mean, this thing's a tank.
It was a tank.
Wasn't that more for freestyle though?
I guess.
yeah, it probably was, dude. You wanted all the shit.
Right.
We get all the shit.
Just had
I
to
got the
have it.
lappers, got the everything.
Yeah.
I trip out how many accessories were going on a skateboard back then.
Crazy.
Can we count really
Yeah.
quick? I mean, like on the height, what you're talking about, your board being a tank, you had the,
You
had
could have the nose guard, which
Okay,
is
that-
like the rubber nose guard.
Okay,
And
one.
then there was the jawbone, which was like Tony Hawk, the handle basically, so you could like grab it.
I love
Like,
this.
it was a
yes.
Okay.
double nose thing.
Yeah,
Copers,
copers,
rails,
rails,
lapper,
lapper,
mini ribs,
mini ribs,
and tailbone.
tailbone.
Yeah, skid plate.
And then there was Lance's heel bone that was like before boards had a more kicktail. He invented the little like plastic that went on the top under your grip tape that was like to give you a little extra tail.
We're talking about
Oh my
8
God.
different things.
No, and then they
right
had the.
now.
What about those little soft things that you would put for like grabbing?
Rip grip.
Rip grip.
Okay, 9. We're at 9. 9.
At least.
9 extra things that are not on a skateboard right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're
well,
gone.
sometimes
I got rails on my board.
rails. I see
Wait,
those.
risers.
Oh, yeah.
riser,
yeah,
10.
they have risers.
10.
Cell blocks.
Cell block.
11.
Blocks, let's say.
Sub blocks.
Cell block.
Cell blocks.
What the hell's that?
It was basically a riser pad you put in your back truck, so that way your board wouldn't snap when going up jump ramps.
It dispersed the pressure
Okay.
of the
So
land. Yeah.
insane,
Wow.
dude.
Everything had a
Skateboarding.
reason.
Skateboarding has changed.
Yeah.
We're talking about 11 different things.
Dude, your board could cost
Rubber
$500.
I mean, how much are these things?
I mean, I have no
How much
idea.
did it weigh back then? Was it heavy
80
as hell?
pounds?
At least. Like, it's surprising they were able to go off a jump ramp back then.
I mean,
Like,
a lot,
yeah.
but majority of this shit's
Dude.
plastic.
Right.
But
Yeah.
still, I mean, like, add 11 different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's gonna be some weight
There's
on that.
almost some weight.
For sure.
And those boards back then, too, were not light on their own.
No. Even with the bow knight, bro, that shit was not light.
Imagine just going up a ramp and just go straight down. Like it's like so heavy.
Bro.
Oh, it's amazing.
Bro.
Dude, that thing just like a sack of potatoes, that fucking board, man. Wow. I
Fun
love
times,
that,
fun
man.
times.
And then everything just started kind of coming off the board, right? It's like, oh, we don't need this. We don't need this.
Shedded
Maybe
it.
we
Started
still need the
shedding itself.
lapper, but it's pretty funny how this shit works.
It's truly amazing that we had all that shit.
You're right. And there was, I mean, again, going back to the crazy childhood I had, my dad brought home a experimental bow knight. It was a Lance Mountain shape. Experimental bow knight had the experimental on there. It's like pretty much the first board that I set up without my dad's help. And it was like, came time to put the rails on it. It's like, no, Dad.
I got this.
No, it was like,
I need you.
board, you started seeing guys in the magazines not riding rails.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like,
I don't need these.
I
Yeah.
don't need
Okay.
those anymore, Dad.
It's not cool anymore.
I'm gonna
Dad.
try going without it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So did you take them off there or you didn't put them on?
I didn't put them on. He
Yeah, we
would
don't
like
need
he
these.
came out to help me like set it up, but it was like
You're like, dude, I'm
kind of like a coming of age moment where I like
Gotcha.
started to learn how to put my board together without his help. And
You're like, Dad, we went from 11 to 5. I only need 5 things now.
Right.
I don't
You know what'd
need
be
these
awesome?
extra 6 things.
I want to set up my board currently right now with all the stuff you just talked about.
that'd be
That would be
hilarious.
Like-
amazing.
I want
would
to film
love to
that.
see a 360 flip.
I want to film that.
Oh,
That would be great.
hey, Raj, let's do that.
I want to get you all the components and then film you trying to figure out where to put them.
Yeah, that would be fucking
I
a
amazing.
might
video
need
in
some
itself.
help. I could probably
Kelly
look at-
wouldn't even know how to. He'd probably think it's for
Right.
a BMX bike or
Right.
Yeah.
something. He'd be like, what is
Is
this?
this a toy? The radio, like, I don't know. But that would be funny to do.
And then weigh the board to
And
see
then
how
weigh
much
it.
it weighs.
Yes.
Right.
And then try
That's
to
a
skate.
good-
Because
Little-
not only that, I mean, the wheels back then, 60 something millimeter. I mean, they're huge, right?
Yeah, boards definitely
yeah.
added 10, 15 pounds.
It's cool though. For you to start in that generation,
And
to see-
have all the stuff that his dad had, too,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
and to see where you went, like to turning into a pro later on, and like
Yeah.
you're just skating just like what I skate now, basically.
Right.
It's rad to see how skateboarding literally evolved.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was
Like, and just-
one of his prime boards is what, 7 and
7.25.
7.25. 7.7. What was it, Raj? You measured
7.25.
it.
7.25.
Was it 7.25? Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's the one
Sure.
behind you on the.
It's like the size of a freestyle board.
That one, the
Yeah,
I was
prime.
about to say.
Prime.
They were little, man.
They were little.
So you've been through all the.
I've been through everything.
for pretty much.
Pretty much, and it was like awesome to see it too. It was awesome too because it was like growing up. Once I got like hanging out with Frankie, and we would go like hang out at the office in Todd Hastings' office, there'd be like all the magazines from all over Europe and everything like that. Like I saw like stuff of like nobody heard of Alex Mole at that time, but I knew who he was because I was looking through all these European magazines. I was like,
Oh,
dude,
you had-
this
you were
guy's
exposed- you
amazing.
had him right
I
there.
had him
Yeah.
like I had this whole library of all this stuff,
Wow.
even old like early 80s magazines with like Tony Alva and stuff like that. Todd had around his office, so it was just like I got to see history during
Sure.
what is now history.
Yeah, yeah. But
that-
the progression of like how everything transcended so fast
right,
from like, let's just say 85 to 91 in 6 years, like went from all that shit on your board to like nothing,
Nothing.
on your board.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
from a 10.5-inch wide board to a 7.25.
Yeah.
With nothing on it.
It's funny because we talk about this also. It's like in that 6 years, everything changed for the board.
Mm-hmm.
But then as soon as that happened, you're talking 91, 92. I mean, everything then just went from
Really changed.
quick.
Yeah.
Quick.
Within year by year, it was like just the progression was just like a spaceship just
Yeah.
taking off. It
Right.
was
And then
insane.
Switch came into play and fucking
Tim Gavin
pressure
quit.
flips and Switch came into play. Gavin was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people felt like that
Yeah,
too.
for
Like
sure.
a lot of people, Selman Aga, Switch God.
Yeah.
Like everybody, like some people couldn't hang with the Switch.
Well, I feel like people, the vert skaters too. Like vert skating kind of died, right? And then street skating came around, and then only a
Yeah.
few selected kind of Steve Caballero and a couple.
They would try to
Yeah.
keep up.
Keep up.
Lance,
Some did,
Cab,
yeah.
Street
Yeah.
Cab.
Cab did a great job keeping up.
He definitely.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
sure.
Cab was board sliding crazy
For
rails
days,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
he was killing it on street, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
You
was-
you maintain the Switch though. You
Yeah.
definitely did.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that
Did my
Switch
best.
tray. That Switch tray for
Oh, yeah.
days, bro.
Go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was another fortunate thing about where I was at the right place at the right time with the skate zone. It was like I saw like that whole evolution. This is 91 when that place started opening up, and it became like the skate mecca of skateboarding because
Yep.
it was centrally located with San Francisco, Bay Area, and LA, San Diego. You yourself used to come
That's
up
it.
there. You would come up
Absolutely.
there, and like,
Mhm.
and they did an amazing job at opening it up to everybody as far as like the contests that they put on
For
there.
sure.
So it's like brought all these shops up and all
Mhm.
these guys. At one point in time, my parents were amazing. Like they were always supportive. I feel like they always wanted something more than skateboarding career for me, but like they grew up. I mean, they made a living.
Yeah,
from
they were in the industry.
They were in
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
which is part of why I think they wanted something else. but they're always fully supportive.
Sure.
And like my mom would come and to the contest and have to turn around because she'd be so nervous to while it was my run or whatever.
Oh, wow.
You know, she'd be all scared. But it was like they would always open their door to like whoever was there for the weekend. Guys would come down, like Chris N come down from Grass Valley and be like, "Oh, where are you staying tonight?" I don't know.
Yeah.
How many guys you got? Oh, 4 or 5. Like, okay, cool. Let me call my mom. Like,
No
hey,
way.
is it cool if they stay the night? Yeah, sure. At one point in time, I counted. There was 11 dudes sleeping on our living room floor.
Wow.
My mom would wake up in the morning, make pancakes
Wow.
and orange juice,
That's amazing.
feed us all. We'd go straight over to the skate park and be there all day.
Wow.
Damn.
It was
Did you
amazing.
live
I'd
in
be
that
so
house?
pissed if there was 11 people on
Wait,
my floor.
right.
I'd
Yeah.
be like, yo, you guys get, I'm not making you pancakes. You all
dirty,
gotta go.
sweaty skateboarders on the couch and on the floor?
That's so incredible.
Did you
Yeah.
did you live in that house before the park had opened?
It was kind of right around the same time. We lived, no. We moved into that house when I started in junior high. And then it was through high school and want to say it opened to the public my sophomore year.
So like
We
you
were-
were already there.
We were already in that house.
Okay, that's amazing.
And it happened to be literally across the freeway from
That's
Powell.
incredible.
It was before,
Exactly.
I think it was before George bought that building even that we moved
Right.
into that house. That was just the neighborhood that
Jeez.
Just perfect location.
Perfect
Yeah.
location.
I mean, just like what you were saying just now, that place was so monumental
Yeah.
in just who I am. I mean, there was no parks anywhere close to me. That was the only park,
Right.
Santa Barbara. Jerron literally got became friends with like Tim Gavin.
Yeah,
Right.
no, I mean, like my first like Birdo not discovered, but like,
Mhm.
can I give you some wheels? I'm like, fuck yeah, of
Right.
course.
Was
You
that
know?
at a contest or
That was
just
that was at Powell Skate Zone. You
And
know,
that-
and all these team managers and anybody that worked for any brand would go to these contests,
Right.
Because this is where you would really discover, like, damn, there's a lot of good skateboarders out there,
Yeah.
and they skate for these these individual shops that are all over the city. You know,
Mhm.
so it was a really good opportunity for these people to go and see the talent that was out there.
Sure.
You know,
I never went to any of the contests. It was just more of like hey, we're going to get in the car. We're going to have a day trip, go
Yeah.
skate all fucking day throughout session 1, session 2, however many sessions they
Yeah, I
had,
don't
you know.
remember
then they had those all night jam sessions as
They would
well.
have those, yeah.
You know, and those were really cool because you basically be skating fucking really like
24
all night.
hours,
yeah.
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 5 a.m, you're like, people are still skating. You're like, fuck, dude. So nuts, bro.
I would do like after a while of like my mom opening our house up to these guys. It was like the back room of the offices.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where Jim Fitzpatrick and Todd Hastings were. Their office was there.
Mm-hmm.
They turned it into a kind of a rec room for the PAL team.
Got you.
So it was more when like a PAL guys would show up and anybody else that was with them, they would spend the night in there, and like I would get to go hang out in there. At that point, I was
Sick.
getting sponsored, I think, so I was on Dogtown at that point. But it was like
Uh-huh.
the all-nighters. I didn't do any of like the park all-nighters because I think I was living out of town by that time. But
I was going to do the all nighter, and then that's when Tim was like, "Come with me," and I was like, "I'm going with them." And I
Left his boys
I
there.
left the boys.
Left the
yeah,
boys.
but I mean, look, dude. That was probably the moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't be in the position. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it was like,
Yeah.
and they were understanding to it, bro. I hooked them up anyways. So
You said you first got on Dogtown. Were you ever talking to your dad about anything like getting sponsored, or did he give you any advice, or just let you go?
No. It was kind of weird because, like I said, it was like there was that time where it felt like maybe I'm gonna get on PAL, but at the same time, I feel like even with like Todd Hastings and Jim Fitzpatrick and stuff, it was like I was always Larry's kid.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Would it have been weird if I got on PAL at that age? I don't know, but like I kind of had that feeling too. Like,
It's an
it's weird.
interesting, yeah.
If I get on PAL, is it just because my dad works there? Am I even good enough?
It's almost like you wanted to carve your own path a little bit.
I didn't really even know what was going on.
Mm.
Like it was more like they had a contest. I did good in the contest. I didn't expect to do the first outdoor contest. I didn't even want to enter it. I was like scared to enter it. Perry Wallender was him and Fitzpatrick like organized that one, I believe. And Perry was like, he was always outside skating with Sean Cliver during this time.
Crazy.
It was like, yeah, it's crazy. It was like, I hung out with Sean when he first moved to town. It was like, who's this guy? Oh, you're the new artist for PAL? No way. Like, you can't be that guy. Like, and then all of a sudden I see this Ray Bar. Wait, you drew that? Like, he's like, yeah. It's like, no.
It's crazy.
But yeah, so it was like, Pear was like encouraged my dad to tell me to enter into the contest. And I ended up getting
because he
second
saw your
place.
talent.
Yeah,
Right.
yes. And
Yeah.
he just wanted me to go, like, try it out. And
funny.
I got second at that contest, and then I kept doing good, and it was like,
Yeah, you always really did good in the contest, bro. I remember that shit. You were definitely always like top 5.
for a period.
Yeah, I mean,
And then it
for that-
dropped. And then I was labeled as the guy that always did good in the contest.
What do you mean? We got a first place right here, Powell Skate Zone.
92.
There we go.
1992.
I'd say by like 95, I wasn't doing so good. There was a couple qualifiers where I qualified first, and this is I qualified first. I was at guaranteed 7th place.
Where were those contests?
don't know.
Where were those contests held?
Which one?
The ones that you didn't do well at.
I don't
Just
know.
all
There was some of
over?
the like B3 contests, like I never made it to the X Games because at that time they were doing all the X Games qualifiers,
Okay.
and I did like okay, but I didn't get good enough to make the X Games cut.
Got you.
Yeah.
Half a point
Half a
away.
point.
That was a half a point.
That was a
Yeah.
half a
Goddamn
point.
cream.
So you're on
I'm
Dogtown.
on Dogtown.
How long were you on Dogtown?
It's all blur.
Seriously.
1 year?
8
2
years. It felt like.
No way.
I mean, it felt like I was on forever, but
Okay.
it could have been less than a year. I mean, it was. Back then, I could go by like school year, so it was like I got on my sophomore year. I want to say sophomore year, I got on. I think by my junior year, I was riding for Acme.
Yeah.
It's so
Senior
months.
year, got on Think.
how. This is funny, by the way. Like you're in high school.
Yeah.
Going from sponsor to sponsor already.
Nobody has a clue or cares.
But you already, the point is like you already have a career.
Right.
All right. Like you're already formulating your own career right now.
Right.
And you're only in high school.
By the time I got to be a senior, we're walking back to English class after lunch. Get stopped by like the Army guys the recruiters are on campus.
Yeah.
Funny you bring this up.
They like grab my buddies and they're like, "Oh, hey guys, what are you guys gonna do after high school?" Da, da. And one of my friends is like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to college, do this," and oh, cool. And one of them's like, "Yeah, I want to be an English teacher. I'm gonna go to school." Oh, more power to you. What about you? Before I could even say anything, my buddy's like, "Oh, he's a professional skateboarder." They look at me, size me up, and more power to you. And then turn to the next guy and just like fully wrote me off completely
Really?
right there and then. It was like, I was like, oh, no.
Oh my God.
It's like I'm getting paid like $1,500 a month to sit in English class.
I go skate after school. I work after school.
Right.
Dude, getting
That was-
paid that much money when you're in high school is kind of that's a
weird.
lot.
Yeah.
Wait,
For
were you getting,
sure.
At that time.
At that
At that
time,
time.
too, yeah.
1000%.
was this
Yeah.
already like, was this just getting paid by Dogtown or were we getting paid by
No,
like,
this is my senior year, so I was pro, and it was like all my sponsors together.
Got you. Trucks,
Trucks.
wheels,
Everything.
probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no party for the pro thing.
Did you turn
Yeah,
pro for
see?
Dogtown or Acme?
Well,
Or Think?
well, so
Or Prime?
going back to getting on Acme
Okay, please.
goes back to the skate zone meeting Mark Oblo.
Yeah, okay.
He would come up on the weekends and skate, and he worked for Vision as assistant team manager. But we had this connection through he rode for Dogtown Wheels. And he was like, at that point in time, Jim Gray was starting Acme Skateboards, and Jim pulled Mark to be team manager for Acme. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, we're starting this new thing. Like, we were already becoming good friends because he would come up almost every other weekend or so. And it's like, I'm going to be a team manager of this new company. It was just starting up. He's like, we're going to get Omar Hassan. And I was like, I knew who Omar was. He was an up and coming star for Blockhead. And
Yeah.
I was like, you're going to take Omar from Blockhead Skateboards to start this new company. Like, good luck with that. Like, this is how much clout I felt I had at this time. Yeah. It's like, you get Omar to ride for Acme, and I'll quit Dogtown and ride for Acme as well. And he literally came up the next week, and he's like, Omar's a done deal.
Wow.
You got to we were like, they were, it was literally like, we're still talking to Omar. He's about to, like, he's like 99%, like, we're going to get Omar.
Next day it's a wrap.
And it was a wrap. And he's like, yeah, we got Omar. Like, now you have to quit. I was like, oh.
Did you call Jim Muir, Red Dog?
That was the scariest
I'm sure.
Ever. Huh.
16-year-old kid, just like, Jim.
How did he take it though?
He grunted at me a bunch. And just, whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
whatever.
God! All right.
Little did I know that was like, I think Markovich. So apparently, like, listening to Markovich just the other day, it was like our time at Dogtown, like, just missed each other.
Got
His
you.
whole, like, he left kind of like right before the tail end. I got on apparently right at the tail end. I mean, I was on for close to a year, but it was like when I ended up quitting a week or two later, Cardio quit to ride for Black Label.
Got
Wade
you.
Spire held out for a little bit longer, and then he went to Powell. And all of a sudden, everything just fell out, and they
Okay.
went under. So I didn't feel as bad, but like,
Right.
I always felt bad that I
Well,
ended
you
up-
started it.
Yeah, I started everybody dropping like flies. Yeah.
Mike Santarosa's not on anymore.
I mean-
Get out of here.
That video part was changing the game.
So, how long did you ride for Acme for? Because after Acme, he was like color, right? You went with
it
Chris
was-
Markovich.
It was like about a year that I rode for Acme. We went on a summer tour, and it was getting close to the Back to the City contest, 92.
Okay.
September of 92, Labor Day weekend. And I just like pretty much jokingly like, hey, Mark, what do you think of me entering that contest? And he's like, well, let me talk to Jim. He's like, honestly, like beginning of the summer, I would say probably no. But after what I've seen, like after tour and everything, the trajectory that you're going on, like I'll hit up Jim and see what he has to say.
Okay.
He calls me back. He's like, yeah, Jim's into it. We're going to let you enter the contest. If you do good, then you're pro.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, I was kidding. Like, Mark, I wasn't serious. Like, we're going? Like, he's like, yeah, no, we're going. You're going to enter.
Huh.
Ended up getting 13th at my first pro contest. I beat Pat Duffy.
Oh,
He
wow.
got 14th, which at that point it was like the first questionable video came out, like not too
Yeah.
long before that. So
Right.
You beat him by half a point.
Half a point.
probably.
Yeah,
no,
point.
but no, I mean, it was like obviously I feel like he was the way better skater, but it was just like, hey, that's that guy Pat Duffy. I beat him. Like,
Right.
it's
Right.
crazy.
His name, I beat that Nick.
I beat that guy. I mean, most amazing dude too. But
For
Definitely.
but and then it was like
You're
13th.
pro.
13th. That's like for your first pro contest. That's pretty good. You're pro.
You get a trophy?
Wow.
No, I didn't get a
No
trophy.
trophy.
Well, you got to turn pro. That's a trophy.
That's a trophy.
Yeah.
Couple weeks later was like it all felt like such a long span of time, but it was like a couple weeks later was that Venice contest with the cop car
Oh, yeah.
and that
Across the street?
That's
Across the
literally
street, yeah.
right there.
right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Want to say I did decent in that, even though it was like not my element. I was so used to like the perfect Powell Skate Zone. This
Okay.
was like out on the rough parking lot.
Just
I don't
some-
know.
yeah.
I did pretty good there, and Jim was like, okay, like this is like legit, you're like pro. Next thing you know, he's like started talking about like we'll start like paying you, and like don't know, like we don't do pro models or anything like that. And then again a couple weeks later, Oblo calls me up and he's like, hey, I'm quitting. I'm gonna be a team manager for Think. I'm starting a wheel company called Race Wheels with Chris Markovich, and I can offer you basically $100 more than Jim's offering you and a pro model. And I was like, dude, I'm going to do whatever you're going to do anyways. Like at this point in time, it was like we were like best friends.
Gotcha.
I basically wrote for Mark, although it didn't matter what brand you put on it. And so we did the Think thing, and Chris had left Union Wheels to start Race Wheels. Rich Mediver, who did Union Wheels within, I want to say, Mark's tenure there at Think was pretty short-lived. I want to say maybe even less than 6 months.
Okay.
Wow.
Rich Mediver pulled Markovich and Oblo and said, I want to start a board brand with the two of you, and this was going to be color. And they got Jeremy, and they wanted me to ride for it. They were trying to get me to ride for it. I held out because I was unsure of like, wait, you're starting a brand new board company. I'm sitting pretty comfortably over here. I don't know if I want to do it. And then I stuck it out for like another 5 months or so
On Acme?
on Think.
Think.
So
Okay. Right.
we've already moved on to
Yeah.
Think, and I'm getting my pro model. That was my first pro model up there behind you.
Mhm.
That one. And then, I held out for a few months. I was hanging out down in Costa Mesa all the time and skating with the color team, and they're working on the color video. These are my homies. Think's up in San Francisco. pretty disconnected. I had Jeff Chamley and Dylan Gardner in Santa Barbara.
Dylan,
and,
dude. Shout out Dylan Gardner, man.
Right.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I got him on Think. But
That's amazing.
I started flowing him boards out of my packages, and then I was like, guys, you guys just hook this guy up.
Right.
Like, he's
So
amazing.
Yeah.
And then Eric Ricks
Okay.
was here in El Segundo area, and
Sick.
we were homies from when he rode for Powell, but still just Mark was my boy, and I was skating with like Quee and all those guys, and I was down visiting them in Costa Mesa, called and quit. Keith Cochran and Greg Carroll refused to let me quit. They flew down from San Francisco, borrowed Rocco's Porsche, at the time his convertible Porsche, drove from LAX to Costa Mesa, knocked on the door at Oblo's house.
Did you know they were coming?
I don't think I did at that
Okay.
point. I kind of did, or like I caught wind after they were like already coming down, and
Wow.
they showed up at the door, and it was like pretty like it was a kind of an awkward moment. They're like, "Come on, you're going like with us. Like we're taking you to San Francisco. We want to talk to you."
Their faces. Okay. Like they're gonna
Why
Why can't they
you.
just talk with you down there?
They want to be on their own turf.
Right.
Home court advantage.
Yeah.
Maybe I think maybe this was like when they started. I don't know, but it was basically like I went up to San Francisco. They're like, we want to give you a part of Race Wheels. Like you and Eric, we grabbed Eric and we all went up there, and then there was an AM contest in Sacto, I think, that weekend or something. So we went up, and it was like first time I got to meet like Dandro Hobo, Pancho Mulder, and Phil Shao, and a couple of the other guys, and they were all just the up and coming AMs at that time. I was like, kind of went home, was like, those guys are cool and all. Like I stuck it out for like another 3 months. I think my entire span was a total of 8 months or so with Think. Then just before Europe '93, I ended up fully quitting Think and riding for Color. So I went to Color. It was like the trip was already getting planned, and it was like Oblo and Markovich were like, Rich, remember you're sending Santarossa, he's going with us. Like I got on like I want to say just weeks before, and they were still filming the video. We went to Europe, came back. I think it was around there or something like I don't know. But basically, I had about 2 weeks before deadline to film a video part.
Okay. Wow.
It was like they just wanted to get something. I struggled with getting like anything decent enough to put in the video. I have the very last trick after credits. After there's a little Solomon Gaw and I can't think of his name right now, but there's a little clip, pretty funny at the end, and then I do a fakie 5-0 kickflip out at the very end.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever remember that.
No name or anything. It was after credits.
After credits.
Going to black.
What video was it?
Color.
The color video.
video. I don't know if I even saw that.
Oh, it's a good video. You got to watch it. Chris Markovich, Jeremy Ray.
Jeremy Ray.
They only had one video though.
Oh,
They only had the one video.
I think I've seen Jeremy's part randomly, but yeah.
You probably didn't
It
watch
was
to the very end.
Okay, I didn't watch it to the very end. Yeah. That was again. It was before my time. So
Right.
yeah.
That was the one. Jeremy Ray, when he all lead the bump to
Where the kids were all...
street guy and the kids counting
Yeah.
how many.
Yeah.
Look at these marks.
Look at these.
And Jason Dill's in there
Jason
too.
Dill's in there. Yeah.
It's a good video.
It's a good video. I didn't really have much of a part.
Well, obviously you had a one trick after credits.
But yeah, and then it was, so after Europe, there was some things going on, business. Like, I didn't know when I got on, there was already some weird
Behind the
background
scenes.
business stuff going on that Oblo and Markovich weren't stoked on, and it was right at that time that these guys like all left World to start Girl.
Okay,
There's
right.
a big shakeup.
Huge shakeup.
93.
93. And yeah, and so Markovich reached out to there was a meeting with Plan B to merge Color and Plan B,
Right.
Plan C maybe. They only wanted Markovich and Jeremy Ray. Markovich didn't want to break us all up. Jeremy was kind of going his route. Rio was trying to get Jeremy.
Okay.
Although was basically, Jeremy, you should go to Plan B because
Yeah.
you'll be in the family. Mike Ternowski suggested, hey, talk to Rocco. There's, everything's
Mm-hmm.
up
Well,
in the
Jeremy
air.
Ray eventually skated for Plan B.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
It was basically like Ternowski suggested, talk to Rocco. There's been such a shakeup. Maybe you guys can do something over there. That's how Prime started. And Jeremy was basically he was ready to go one way or another. And Oblo kind of suggested, like, hey, you go to Plan B, you're still kind of in the family.
Right.
And
So that's how Prime was
that's
born.
how Prime was born.
Okay.
So interesting. Okay. Kane Gale, Jason
He was-
Maxwell, yourself.
And
Quee?
Dill- and-
Quee?
Shin.
Yeah, and Dill
Yeah.
went to 101.
You must have been psyched at that time too, because now you're in the World Camp.
Now I'm in the World Camp.
Right.
Which, when I rode for Acme, and everybody was coming up for the contest and stuff like that, Rocco at one point came up and he was entertaining. And this is like mid-war between World and Powell.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he knew my dad worked for Powell or not. I'm assuming he kind of did. It's part this and part I think he really wanted Eric Ricks because Eric Ricks was a El Segundo boy and he rode for Powell. And Rocco was doing everything to just poke
the bear,
the bear. And
which he's good at.
He is
my mom answered
really
the
good.
phone and was like, Mike, you got a call.
He was poking the dragon.
Yeah, poking
There
the
you
dragon.
go.
Rocco called me after one of those contests where we went bowling and all this stuff. And he offered me, I'm riding for AM for Acme, no paycheck. He offered me $1,200 a month as an AM to go ride for World. And I was like,
What? You didn't take it?
I was loyal to Hoblo.
Fuck that.
I think I like it was like in my head. I'm
Yeah,
on
but
the,
it was, no, you got to understand the money for
No.
sure, but like World at that time
World
was
at that
like
time.
premier.
right. No, I wanted to do it, but like there was something like over the phone. Like I was in shock that this is really Steve Rocco on the phone with me, and he's talking, and he wants me to ride for World, but like, is this like a Chris Branagh situation where he's just gonna
okay.
like,
Bada-bow, bada-bow, bada-bow.
toss me to the wind? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like an ultimate jab. Like
Or you think maybe he was trying to get Ricks through you?
I'm pretty much fully certain that was the case,
Okay.
that he wanted to get Eric Ricks, and he thought if like maybe he wanted me like. So I just never felt like I was that talented enough to ride for
Wait a
World
minute,
at that
is
time.
this-
But it was
wait,
like,
at
What a
the-
sly ass motherfucker, bro.
Bro,
bro,
was this after everybody left, or is this before?
This is before.
Okay,
So this is before.
right before
I mean, this is like
92.
92. Everything's cranking for World at this time, and he's
Wow, man.
yeah.
He's still making moves like on
Still-
chessboard.
Yeah. He showed up to the Powell contest with the F Powell Peralta shirt, or no, it was F World Industries. Like
He just knew how to create like fucking havoc
yeah,
And he
within-
loved every minute
and,
of
and
it.
attention on his brands and
yeah.
yeah.
And so even over the phone, I was like, is this for real? Like, are you going to just like take me for a couple months, pay me for a couple months, and then kick me to the wind?
Mm.
I didn't say that, but it was just like, I like where I was at. And
You're feeling him out.
I was just feeling like, is this for real? Like, is this just because my dad works for Powell and because you want me to convince Eric Ricks to ride for you that you would, I mean, at the time he could have paid me that.
But you're not even on Powell. What does your dad have to do with any of it? Just because he's Eric Ricks? I mean, and your dad worked for Powell? I
It'd
don't
be
know.
like, you know,
It doesn't seem like that much of a connection.
Right. Other than maybe like he
No.
could hold it over anybody's head.
Yeah,
that, like,
right, sure.
you know,
Yeah.
I got
I'm going to get to the kid's son who works for Powell, and then I can
maybe
see
it was that. Maybe it was just my own head, but
Right.
just something in my heart just didn't feel like I should do it at that moment in time.
Mike, dude.
And
All right. Damn.
I feel like I was one of the very few people that turned down an offer for Rocco.
Was he
And-
pissed at you? Did he do? Was
I don't think like when a couple of years later, riding for Prime, which is a world company,
Yep.
and I'm hanging out with him, going jet skiing and golfing, and
Maybe.
I've been missing this.
It
for all
came
these
up
years.
once in a while. I feel like there was still a slight he didn't really care for me as much as everybody.
Got that in your heart.
You know?
I felt it.
People don't say no to Rocco.
I mean, at that time too, like
Right.
that. If you got offered in that umbrella, like you're taking it.
Right.
Like most 99% of
Right.
the people out there.
But it was
And
also
it got
like
to a time though that the tide was changing. You know what I'm saying? Like he was doing what he was doing, and then all of a sudden he's not really involved in the skate. He's kind of he's trickling out himself.
right.
You know.
It's actually pretty impressive for you to think that in that way back then.
Yeah.
Most people chase things, right? You know what I mean? But
Right.
you're like, oh, I'm gonna stick to what I feel and my feelings, and it seemed to have worked
Well,
out.
even
but
being an AM, not
Yeah.
getting paid or
Right.
not, and
Yeah.
then all of a
Like,
sudden you got
Kind of
$1,200
hung up the
in your
phone like,
pocket.
what did
Yeah.
I just do?
you're like, no, I'm good. Oh,
What year did Prime? What year did Prime come around?
I wouldn't say 93.
93.
I think
So
it
this was
was-
just a year prior.
Probably, yeah.
So you finally
Uh,
ended up in a world
Yeah.
in the world camp.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Sounds
I said,
about
it's
right.
like everything seemed like a couple years, but it was really, some of it was like 8 months and stuff like that. So
How'd you feel? How'd you like Prime?
loved it.
It was good, huh?
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a good solid squad. I felt like I felt like it was not like, I don't know. It felt different than a normal world company.
yeah.
Because we were our own company, not
Right.
like, basically we had to do our own artwork. Towards the end, after I had left, it kind of became one of the world companies where it was just like they used the world artists and all that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
Who was in charge of all that Prime stuff?
Pablo.
Okay.
So during that time, it was like I lived in Costa Mesa, and Mark would basically pick me up and take me to the office to drive in the carpool lane.
There you go.
So we would hang out at the world office. I'd hang out with Cliver and all those guys while they were doing Big Brother. That's like pretty much how I was in Big Brother a lot, was
Sick.
just because I was there at the office hanging out, and then and then I ended up going on like the Big Brother tour, the first tour that they did and stuff like that.
I always trip out because like Prime was, like I said, it felt like a different company than a normal world company. But
Right.
at the same time, like you guys were in 20 shot sequence. Like you guys were in some like
They're
really
they're
like
part of it.
Yeah,
good, like amazing videos.
yeah. But it was definitely ran.
Did you guys feel like you were outside of world?
Yes and no. I mean, we came in after the World Park. I mean, the World Park was there, but it was like after the heyday of all the
When it first
craziness
started, yeah.
that went on over
Sure,
there with you guys staying up all night and doing stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Was there a video you guys made though? Like other than 20 shot being there, wasn't
Fight fire with fire.
Fight Fire with
I don't
Fire.
think I ever saw that one, but
The worst kickflip ever filmed.
Oh, you got a bad
I
kickflip
had
in
that
there?
kickflip.
what do you mean? Like actually, like
Flat
done, or actually just someone filming it sucked?
It was mine.
Oh, okay.
It was all me.
Flat ground?
Yeah. It was
In a line.
In a line. Markovich made me use it. It was
Yeah.
in Japan. We were like skating this little, like, it was pretty much right outside a train station, and we were there. Mike Crum came out there to hang out with us. We were there for a couple weeks, and he just flew out because his mom worked for an airline, so he bought a ticket on for like $60 to Japan, and he just hung out with us. So we were all filming each other, and it was at a train station, so it would be like the wave of traffic would come and go like every couple of minutes, and the only line I got, I did switchbacks and 180 over a trash can on side, and then I do a kickflip on flat ground and a nollie tail slide off this like little ledge off of 3 stairs.
Okay. That sounds familiar. Go ahead.
And I like scrolled out, like all like feet almost land together, and just I was just
Why did Chris Markovich want you to use that?
he's like, because it took so long.
But nobody watching it knows that.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, no, dude, I don't want to use it.
Like
He's
all they see is a shitty kickflip.
He's like,
Yeah. That's how they see.
between like what he and I went through to get something
Sure,
there,
sure.
he was like, dude, we worked so hard at that spot for so long, and like unfortunately that was the best, cleanest line. It was like every time I would get to the nollie tail slide, there would just be this wall of people coming at me, so it's like I would have to step off, or just like I wouldn't make it, and then it was like the one that I actually landed was like the terrible kick.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
I have to go back.
I'm gonna go back
See,
and watch
slow
it. 'Cause
mo.
it sounds familiar, but I don't.
I mean, I don't know if anybody really back
Yeah.
then too. I don't know if
I
anybody
don't-
really.
I don't recall that, but this goes back to my thing. What I do, and a few other people do it. If I'm watching my friend do a line and he does something in there that I know he's not gonna like, I'll just stop it.
Right.
I'll literally stop him in the line, and like just so he like then you land that trick and you're like, I finally did it, but I just one part I hate.
Right.
But sometimes when you're doing a line, and even if you fuck up on a trick, you keep going. It gives you that flow to maybe that trick sucked, but then I'm just going to keep going and try this trick so I can get into that groove of like landing that trick and going and
Dude, I have done lines where that one, but it kills me after I did it, got me into the groove, but then you couldn't land it again and it drives you insane.
Yeah.
But also if you're filming and then the filmer decides to stop because he sees that you didn't land it right, that doesn't make me want to keep going. That makes me want to stop.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
I saw Nakel do that too, and I was like, yes, see, he did it to his homie too. He's like, yo, chill, you don't want that.
Right.
You don't want it.
Right.
But Chris Markovich, opposite. He made you put that in there.
I mean, it's a memory from Japan too. So
Were you skating with Shin Okada out there?
we did. That's how he got on Prime.
Right.
That's how he got on Prime.
Yeah, because we saw him skating out there. Like, dude, we at the time too, like getting him boards was it was hard to do. Like, I don't think we were out there for Teabags clothing,
Right.
Markovich's
Markovich,
clothing.
yep.
We were there for a trade show and stuff.
Holy shit.
I can't believe we didn't even ask Markovich about the
that,
tea
yeah.
bags. Well, there's so
Mentioned
much
a
stuff
li-
we
right.
forget
Yeah, it's a lot.
in a conversation.
Yeah, his parents were out there with us, and it was pretty wild
Rad.
trip.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Shinakata, amazing.
So we found him out there, and we're like, how do we, we kept calling Mark, and it was a mission to figure out how to get, because I don't think World had a distributor out in Japan at the time.
Sounds bizarre.
So it was we had to ship the boards to a distributor that
close.
knew him so that they could get, and then eventually he was fully on.
He ripped.
He ripped.
Yeah,
So
for
hard.
sure.
He
No
ripped,
doubt.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys had a great team.
Yeah.
Like
It
I
was a
said, I just felt like it wasn't. It felt different.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, yeah. I
Felt like a different company.
It did.
A world company, like a blind world. It's it all has this feeling of
Right.
this,
One. Yeah.
a 101, right?
Yeah.
And then Prime was over here,
Yeah. We were the.
outside looking in. That's how it looked.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
You said that later on, though, they started having those same style graphics. I got a Kane Gale board, and it reminded me of a World and Blind later on.
Right.
Yeah, so it had this, towards the end, it had those graphics.
Towards the end, they
Right.
pulled in the world graphic.
Because I don't even
Yeah.
think Prime lasted but a couple years, right?
Yeah, because I left, and then not too long after I left, Markovich left.
Right.
And then they did that video, I think 5, because I think there was only 5 riders left or something. It was
Okay.
Maxwell, Jason Maxwell, Chris Lambert.
Oh yeah, Chris Lambert.
I think Quee was in that.
Quee.
And then,
Dude,
Oh,
Quee
yeah,
was
man.
sick,
Super
Quee
dude.
was
dope.
sick.
Super dope.
Quee is sick still to this
Yeah.
day. I
Yeah.
haven't seen him for a
Good
while.
dude.
but
I always
yeah.
definitely had good rapport with him. He's a
Yeah.
good dude.
The firm.
The firm.
The firm. Oh, so it's interesting, that trajectory. So after Prime, you had some great years at Prime, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you had so many different boards. We have the board back here that's 7.25, I
That does
think.
look small.
That thing is tiny.
Tiny. That was early Prime.
Right.
That
You
was,
could easily,
right at the
Roger was
beginning.
palming the board, just
Yeah.
just holding it earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. But you had a good run on there.
Good run, yeah.
So what had made you get out of there? What made you
It was-
take off?
I basically got kicked off because some of the other guys found out some of the other AMs were kind of interested in talking to some other team. We had a team meeting. Hey, if you're thinking about quitting, you talk to anybody, you're off the team. And this was basically directed at a couple of the AM riders.
Okay.
And then a little while longer, I had started to hang out with Josh Beagle and Heath Critchart for a while. We were just buddies hanging out. And I think even I was in a 411 commercial, a Foundation 411 commercial.
Not skating?
like in
or
the background
in the
or, like-
background?
Not skating. We went out to the desert. It was I forget what it was exactly, because it was right when Pig was starting, I think, too.
Okay.
And basically, I mean, we went out kind of to shoot shotguns or something. I don't know. It was basically, I'm like the dummy that got shot, or like I can't remember exactly, and I don't remember how it looked. You can't even.
It was a skit.
It was a skit,
Okay.
and obviously, like the gun wasn't ever pointed at me, but it was like,
Sure.
it was like we
Set up.
to
Yeah.
do, and it was like you couldn't even tell. I don't think it was me in the commercial, but it was just because I was hanging out, and I think I volunteered to be that guy or whatever. I think it was a 411 commercial. I don't even remember exactly.
They
but-
kicked you off for that?
No, it
Oh.
was just like
I was gonna say,
after
yeah.
hanging out for a while, it was like started like, hey, like what's up with the foundation? Like that'd be kind of fun. Like,
You started yapping in their ears.
and
huh?
then Mike Ballard, who was a team manager, like hit up Oblo, like, hey, what's up with Mike? Is everything okay over there? Like everybody was like friends at that point in time too. So it was like he was like concerned, like what's wrong over there? Like
Right.
why is he interested in foundation? It's like, oh.
You should go ride for Foundation.
So yeah, right. But then I was actually in Hawaii at the time, hanging out, just like on a vacation. I saved up a bunch of coins at one point in time. I just saved all my coins, had about $400 in coins, and it's like I want to go somewhere. I want to go on vacation. Bought a ticket to Hawaii. Had like
Did you go to Coinstar? Dump all that stuff down there?
literally did.
Yeah.
And Ryan Kingman lived out there at the time, who's like a good friend of Mark Albo's,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
worked at Acme and like way back in the day. So it was
Mhm.
like I had a place to stay and was hanging out for like 2 weeks. And that's beginning of the 2 weeks. Albo calls me and is like, "Hey, how's it going out there? You having fun?" Like, "Cool, yeah." Like, "Hey, I got some bad news. I got to kick you off the team." And we're like good friends,
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, really? What? Okay, what's going on?" And he's like, "Well, you know the team meeting we had where we said if anybody's talking to anybody,"
Oh, come on.
We gotta kick-
bro.
it's like, "Oh yeah, okay." I totally like, admitted to it. Like, yeah, okay, I understand. Like, makes sense.
Well,
We all
you're
talk-
if you're actually talking to someone else, then there's something
mean,
there. There's something there that you're like, you're not. You're,
Well, why
you're-
not have another meeting and be like, "Hey, what's up?
Right.
Why
Yeah.
are you kind of like, is there something that we can do? Is
Right.
there something that's wrong with it? Like, what's going on? What are your concerns?
Yeah.
How about a conversation
That's
like
just
that?
how it went down. But yeah, this is at the beginning of my trip, and all right,
Jeez.
cool.
You just went to Coinstar, bought a ticket to Hawaii, and you
Hanging
get
out to
kicked off on the
Hawaii,
beach?
and then,
God damn.
No.
That's like something I feel like that's You said it was directed toward the AMs. That like you're a pro at that point.
But-
you should have a different.
but
there should
once
be a
it
different
kinda-
conversation.
but-
like
That's
this
what
thing.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, it was like once it got out that like I had been looking around kind of thing.
It's a different time back then,
Then it's
too,
like
man.
if they didn't do what they told those guys was going to happen, if they found, like if they didn't,
Right.
so
There should have been a different kind of conversation.
Possibly.
However, it was, I don't know, right? Different time.
Gotta
People were
be like that,
people were
man.
getting kicked off back then I don't know.
yeah, people were quitting and
Yeah.
getting kicked off like left
Good
and
market.
right.
Definitely, they were a little too sensitive on that.
But at the time, I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough, and I just hung out, and
Enjoyed your rest of your
enjoyed
trip.
the rest of my trip.
Perfect.
Oblo calls me again because I'm hanging out with his best buddy growing up. And he knew how to get a hold of me. It's like, so what's going on? Have you found anything? Like, I'm like, dude, I'm in Hawaii. I was gonna just hang out here and figure my life out when I get home. Like, I'm not worried about it.
Sure.
Good attitude.
I'm sure I'll figure something out. But he's like, you've always respected Powell, and Mike V's over there doing some things. He had been back now and turning into a team manager and stuff. And he's like, you've always like had respect for Powell, the company, and I know like Mike, like those guys. Like, why don't you give them a call? It's like, yeah, okay, it's not a bad idea.
At least he had something for you.
Yeah, he was the one who called
To
me
think
to tell
about.
me like you should go talk to the Powell guys, and I was like, yeah. And I honestly don't think I would have thought about that. Maybe I would have pursued Foundation a little bit more, but it was like, no, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. Like, I'll call Powell. My dad had already left by that time
Okay.
too, so it didn't feel like
You didn't. Yeah.
I had already created my career on my own. My dad left in '93, so
Okay.
this is getting into '95, somewhere in '95.
Gotcha.
So I called Mike from Hawaii, and he's like, "Whoa, no way! You're interested?" Like, yeah. Let me talk to George, and like, when you get back, let's talk. And next thing you know, like, as soon as I got back, pretty much they like, I guess they were going on a road trip up north. So he's like, "We'll come down and get you, and then drive up north and go on a little road trip." And Jamal Williams was on at that time. That was pretty
Wow.
awesome. That was fun skating with him.
Crazy.
So everything from that trip then worked out.
Yeah.
Like it was just kind of like a, hey, let's test this out. Let's see what the.
I mean, back then it wasn't. We didn't do test out. We didn't
No.
do flow really that much. It was like
Just no surprise parties either.
no surprise parties either. It was like
Think about that forever.
it hurts.
One day it
I
might
remember
happen.
starting to see those surprise parties. I think
Yeah.
you got one too, right? Didn't
I
you?
had like a.
It was at a park. Everybody.
No. It was at a autograph signing.
Autographs again.
And they had the thing in there. But it was the way. I don't want to go into it right now. It's
It
but it
He's told the story many of times.
Many times.
I remember it.
Yeah.
for the people that it was just like I was supposed to fly to Barcelona that day, and it was like it was like 50 miles
Yeah.
away. This signing, it was kind of an ordeal.
Yeah.
So
So
it wasn't like
it
a
worked out. It was a
it was
surprise.
like it was a surprise.
It wasn't
but
a
it was
party.
like, but it was
a
more of
surprise.
like it was like an inconvenient
Yeah, it was a
surprise.
hassle.
It was an inconvenience.
Well, it's
Yeah.
funny because I'll be honest with you. If that happened to me and I had to go across town and I turned pro, you know how happy I'd be? I'd be like,
Listen, you could leave there happy, but the it wasn't just like, hey, we're gonna go. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we're
Yeah.
gonna go have lunch over here, and then hey, come on over to this donut shop, man. We're gonna go get some donuts, and then hey, surprise! It was like, get your ass down here,
Yeah.
fucking 50 miles away, dude. I have a flight.
Signs
I got a
and
flight
autographs.
today. I gotta go. This is crazy.
man,
The
it's funny.
timing was not right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I had a good flight over
Surprise
there, and then
nonetheless.
jumped on an 18-hour flight, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But
Man.
this isn't about me.
No.
No.
About how we got robbed at the surprise
We
party.
did. We did.
Well, we're gonna take a Gerard
Surprise.
Olive Garden one time, and he's gonna.
We got hell so many
Olive
breadsticks.
Garden. I would choose something different.
Well, that's not your choice.
Yeah.
You know
You
what?
can't choose
It's
where
your
you have a surprise
surprise.
party.
I guess I can. Go ahead and see how I react.
It was okay though, because Prime didn't last too much longer after you left.
Yeah, like shortly after I left,
It-
Markovich left,
Right.
and then like not too
It
long
went
after,
away.
it kind of just that at around that time, like
Mm.
after I left, that's when World kind of brought it in to help try to keep it going, because obviously
Got you.
not long after I left, when Markovich left, it obviously he was the name behind it,
Yeah.
so it was like without him pushing it, it was like
Yeah.
Yeah.
now let's just make it a world company and keep it going.
Right. Which
Um,
didn't even last that long.
Which
after
didn't
that.
even last that long after.
Right.
that.
They tried.
They
tried.
did. They did.
So yeah, and then I ended up on Powell, and it was
Wow.
like pretty awesome.
You were there for pretty much for the rest of your career, right?
Yeah, for like 2 years.
You skated for like another company too after that, right?
I tried to start my own company.
Oh, it was your own company. No. Origin. No.
No, that was later. That wasn't necessarily me, but I was a part of that.
Okay.
Diabolical Skateboards.
I saw an ad. You had an ad, right?
I had a couple.
Diabolical.
In Big Brother, I ran some ads. in Big
Diabolical Industries or
Brother.
something.
Skateboard Industries.
Skateboard Industries.
Mm.
Yes.
How did that play out? Was it? It's
Just-
hard running your own company, man.
So
Especially when you're trying to
now
skate.
we're getting
also.
into like 98, 96, 99, and tail end of like riding for Powell. It was like started ankle injuries, started my own company, had a really bad ankle, like just kept spraining it.
Mhm.
Finally like got it checked out, had bone chips removed, and then recovery, and as we all know how it goes, it's like if you're out of the game for a period of time, there's always somebody coming up behind you. So it was like, don't really have the sponsors anymore. Etnies was super good about like just trying to keep me going on tours and stuff, and they supported me a lot. And then I had some minor success with my own company as far as distributors in Austria and stuff like that. But it was hard because like trying to do my own company, being the name behind it, I was also doing sales,
Oh my god.
packing boxes, and
I don't even know if you're ready at that point in your career, right?
I mean, I'm like mid 20s now or whatever, but it was early to mid 20s, but it was like I'm supposed to be the face of this company, trying to get like I need to be skating to try to get like coverage to promote it.
Right.
But yeah, it was just like a hard struggle of like dealing with injuries being on the phone, doing sales, marketing, like doing everything behind the scenes. I had some business partners helping, but like, I was the face of it. So it was like hard to get it off the ground.
It's tough.
And, I was out with an ankle injury, and then, a while later it was like I ended up hurting my knee and was further out of the game. So it was like,
how are you
Yeah.
going to promote a company with yourself being hurt, no riders?
how am I supposed to
It's-
call shops to try to sell it when I'm pretty depressed sitting in my room?
Oh, man.
Because I can't even go skate.
Right.
Oh man.
Basically, like trying to sell it, like, yeah, I'm gonna like do a few phone calls and then I gotta go skate a little later. But no, I'm not.
Jeez, man.
So it was rough, and it's like we're kind of getting into that same period of time where like Shorties and Element and Tony Hawk Skateboard, like
these bigger
Birdhouse was
right.
growing, but it was mainly Tony Hawk because it was like kind of the start of the X Games craze and early Tony Hawk video game. So it was
hard
like
to compete.
hard to compete.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
basically call a shop and it's like I can't keep a Tony Hawk board on the shelf right now or a BAM board off the shelf, and I wish I could pick up some of your boards, but
What year was that? You said 98, 99?
yeah, early
Yeah,
2000 I
okay.
gave it up,
Yeah.
and then kind of jumped on a few different things to like try to keep it going.
Keep afloat. What happened with Powell though? Why
It was-
you 2 years? I mean, it seemed like that would be your forever home, right?
Yeah,
That's
but
what I always associate you with for some reason. Maybe because that's when I started
that's probably
skating.
when you were getting into it.
I
Yeah.
got into it, and I would see you always riding Powell. So that's probably why. But
Do you know what issue my profile was?
17.
Thank you.
Yep.
I like this guy.
I think he.
I like that guy.
17.
Yep.
Do you know what?
My first one I saw was 15. So from then on, I
Okay.
started. Okay.
I had like a lot of coverage, 1 through 10. So I always
Okay.
wondered, like,
I didn't before that. I didn't really see too many foreign ones, but I always tripped out because you had the same. You and Gershon Mosley had the same song. But he had the best of 4-in-1 Volume 3, or yeah, and he used your song, and I was just like, it was some Jamiroquai song,
Which song?
Half a Man. I have it. Like,
What? What?
Jamiroquai.
No,
Jamiroquai.
I'm surprised you fucking know the name of the song.
Right.
yeah. Well, yeah.
Was it the like popular single at the time, or was it just
No, not at all.
It was
that was when
before he was-
Jamiroquai.
before
or, I'm
he was
sorry,
Jamiroquai.
That's when the other song came out. The famous one.
Future?
Yeah. That's when that came out.
Yeah.
And it started. Yeah. Anyways.
That was pretty good. Yeah, you had a good.
I got- I mean,
you had a good
I got
voice
a little
sometimes.
Virtual
Sometimes.
insanity.
Sometimes.
Virtual
Yeah.
insanity.
Virtual
you get in
insanity.
the back, and
Thank you.
depends on what we're singing.
I feel like you could do a good like karaoke that Dubs.
Ooh.
Depends on what we're singing. but
Virtual
yeah.
And how many
virtual
drinks he's had.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that need to come full circle for that to happen.
Maybe your pro party, your surprise party.
Are you gonna
Karaoke
be
night.
at karaoke?
Do they
Yeah,
serve?
yeah,
do they
yeah,
serve
that-
alcohol at Olive Garden?
Yeah, for sure.
They do.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good.
We're doing a
We'll get a good-
karaoke surprise party at Olive Garden for
You're
Jerome.
gonna rent out a room at Oliver.
We're gonna get a nice. We're gonna get a nice Chardonnay. We're gonna get a nice
Chard.
pasta dinner. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
great.
It's
It's gonna be great.
We'll get a
Bottomless salad.
yeah,
That's
yeah. We'll get all like the little venue room, whatever on the side.
there you
Yeah.
go.
You're gonna make
Oh,
this
it's gonna be good. Man.
memorable moment.
Oh, 100%. Oh, you know it's gonna be memorable.
All right. Sorry. Yep.
So, Powell, what happened?
It was just kind of came time.
Really?
Yeah.
After 2 years?
Yeah, I don't know. There were some things going on between me and a couple of riders.
Okay.
Just wasn't
Didn't mesh.
didn't mesh.
That's always an issue. Like, obviously, you want to always have a good rapport with the team,
Yeah.
and if there ever is any hiccups, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
Right.
I mean, it's all what, if we knew now, we were pretty young and I mean, still younger at that time. And it's like petty little things that like,
Oh, we had our little egos, bro.
right.
Yeah.
Fucking we're dumb little we're
Right.
kids still,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want it to really feel like a family.
Right.
And when it's dysfunctional,
Right.
it takes a toll
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. So that's okay. Interesting. Have they been re-releasing a lot of your boards lately though?
Well, I only had one
You really only had one board in 2 years. Okay, interesting.
because when I got on Powell, they did not do pro models,
Oh.
they were just doing team boards.
team boards
Okay.
for basically like the first year and a half that I rode for Powell.
Damn.
Which I didn't mind. Like,
Wait, Mike V didn't even have.
he didn't have a board. So Mike V, Jason Ellis, Steve Caballero, and myself were the first 4 that they started re-releasing pro models again.
Did you bring your Powell board here?
So that is
This one.
That is a reissue of the graphic that I had, but that is the Powell Peralta skate shop in Goleta. The manager Carlos over there and I were like chatting. Like he was like, I want to do a shop board, but like we're the Powell Peralta skate shop, and George doesn't want to do shop boards like you know, to compete. Like he wants to sell Powell products and all that, and you know, doesn't want to do a shop board. And he's like, what about doing like your pro model as a Powell shop board?
Oh.
So he got it cleared, and that's what you have there.
He was okay with that.
And he was okay with that.
So the reissue is through the shop.
It's through the shop only.
Chris,
Gotcha.
pull that board down because you can't see it on
Oh,
camera.
you can't
Oh
see it?
yeah,
Yeah.
please.
Well, why do we have it up here? If you can't
So-
see it on camera, why do we have it up?
So
It's all good.
pretty fun fact about that. The original came with a VHS tape.
Wow.
Of which
what the, they
Sleepy?
stuck it in the wrapper?
Sleepy.
They stuck it in the...
Well, they like kind of played it. This is how old I am. It was pre-DVD, basically.
Sure.
that
and,
dates you pretty good, yeah.
They were trying to figure it out. I think they basically sent it. There was like a little flyer in the shrink wrap, and
Yeah.
they sent the VHSs to the shops.
Got you.
And if you bought the board, you got
It's like a golden ticket.
That's
golden
You
ticket.
get
That's
to Go to
awesome.
the shop, right.
So it was funny because they kind of came out in succession. Cab came out first. He had like a 10-minute long documentary basically in his video.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, I thought it was going to be kind of last down the line for my video. But then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, your board's coming out next. Like, do you have your video done yet? And I was like, kind of. I've got like a bunch of footage. My buddy Eric Hatch and I, like, he's been my buddy forever. That
Oh wow.
he's always filmed my stuff, but like he usually would save all the best stuff for the Church of Skating videos and like submit other stuff.
Did he work for Shorties too?
He did for a while.
Oh.
He did video stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Fulfill the Dream and stuff.
Yeah.
But, so we put my video together, and I had to edit it at 411 with Josh Freeberg,
Sick.
and I used Jamiroquai because they had the rights to it. And it was kind of right around. That's why it's in my profile as well.
Oh, okay,
It was like,
cool.
I had like that's why in 2 different videos I have Jamiroquai.
Same
It's like
song or different
different songs,
Okay.
but it was like
We just thought you were a big fan of Jamiroquai. That's all.
I kind of was, but like
Dude, it
not
was-
that
became a
big.
fan.
It was
Yo,
like
it went good to skating.
yeah,
I
yeah.
really thought it went good to
Good
skating.
beats.
Yeah.
That, so, but it was kind of funny because it was, editing room with Josh, who was a good friend from when I lived in Costa Mesa. We would skate all the time and stuff. At the early era of 401, when if he wasn't skating with us, he was in the editing room. It was like, you can only use these songs because
They got the rights.
they got the rights to it. And it was like, well, Jamiroquai, I know what. Tried laying that down next to it. And I was like, that works. Like, let's go
Let's
for it.
go for it.
So
that
with-
was a sleepy video.
That was the Sleepy video,
Gotcha.
and now in the modern era, we added that sticker with the QR code.
I could just
straight
take a
to the
photo?
YouTube video.
That is
take a photo.
that's great.
That's
Yes.
great marketing, right?
Let's see
Yeah,
if
it's
it,
great.
Well, let's see if it
Fantastic.
works first.
Let's see if it works.
All right.
Oh yeah, it does.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that, Mike Santarossa, sleepy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it right
So-
now. I'll be back with you guys in a little bit.
Yeah. So normally I wouldn't do a 10-minute video part, but it was like after Cab's like documentary, I was like, I gotta like, this is what I gotta live up to. I didn't know, and then Mike V comes out. His video part was like 2 minutes long with his
wow.
board release. It was sick, but
You
it was
think
like,
it was just too long?
His part was
I'm-
great.
It worked. It's good because you gotta watch it. It has a little story to it, and
I'm gonna watch it,
I mean,
bro.
it's like kind of skits, but
Just not now.
So they released this in 2021. Are they still releasing it?
yeah, it's still available in the
okay.
shop.
Okay, perfect.
It came out like December of 2021. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect, man. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for this, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. We'll have you sign it after the show.
yeah, you guys can keep that one.
Always trying to get free stuff.
I
Dubs.
know. I see. Luckily, he's got a few of those.
I can-
I get that.
I can give one of those.
So after the Powell, after Origin, I'm sorry, after Diabolical,
Yes.
industrial. What was it again?
Skateboard industry. Diabolical
Diabolical
skateboard.
Diabolical skateboard industry. Then Origin.
Yeah.
Was after that.
Sometime after that.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget. Through doing Diabolical, I started getting boards made through Chapman towards the end. And that was when Kyle Berard and Anthony Furlong and Billy Rohan rode for him.
Okay.
And in talking with Greg Chapman, it was like, hey, dude, like, what about like maybe doing like team manager stuff and like also pro rider kind of thing? Like, I'm still kind of doing it. Like, I'd recovered from injuries and all that and was still skating, and ended up going to Europe with them, kind of as team manager or whatever. And then after we got back from that, and Greg was like, I'm shutting down Chapman brand and focusing on doing boards for Zoo York.
Okay.
And sometime after that, like a few months after that, is when Origin started.
Who was on Origin?
Ron Whaley,
Okay.
Damn.
Justin Reynolds,
Sick.
Wow.
Brad Hayes.
Damn.
Great team. Origin was never on my radar.
No.
How was it? Was it short lived or what
It
was
was
it?
kind of short lived. We didn't have really any backing kind
Okay.
of.
It was kind of like,
I
was
don't
it like
even
a
know.
homie company? Like, hey,
It
we're
was-
going to make some boards and see what happens.
It was out of Chapman too.
No.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember who was actually doing
Was
that.
it based out of California at the
I
point?
believe it was the guy that owned the wood shop that did media, I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I remember media.
Oh.
Yeah, that was like all the IE dudes were on
Right.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Where-
Josh Naher. Is that
Yeah.
how you say his name? And then you had Ryan Denman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
media.
get Tom.
Man, I forgot about media.
Adam McNatt.
When I think of
Barry
IE
Smith.
too, what was it? The Society?
Society Dogs.
Oh, I know what you're talking
Ryan Kenridge.
No. Is there another? There's another company,
Tom
right?
Krauser.
Oh,
Tom Krauser.
Tom Krauser was on there. Yeah.
Yeah, Tom
When he fell
Krauser.
off a roof. Remember
Yeah,
that? That
I
was
remember
nuts.
That was nuts.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Origin just wasn't.
It just never.
It seems crazy. That's such a good team.
Yeah, it was a
Brad
good team.
Hayes, all those guys,
Yeah.
Justin Reynolds, yourself.
I think we were all kind of older and
Mm.
already kind of. This is like 2002, 2003 ish,
Oh yeah.
and I turned pro in '92, so I was well past my prime. if
I
you will.
feel.
For back then.
Well, that like
maybe-
skateboarding is getting some next levels right at that time.
At that time, yeah,
But he was
Yeah, it
doing
was
good. But
getting-
you were right up there, though, man. You could skate with the best of them,
No
bro.
doubt.
but yeah,
But my question though is like, because I feel like the Powell was not the end, but like if you would have stayed on Powell
right.
and squashed the little petty
Who
things
knows?
that you
yeah, I
had,
could probably still be riding for Powell right now.
that's right. Because I feel like you
I mean,
could,
honestly, like
yeah,
Yeah.
we could have cabbed it.
totally.
Seriously.
Hopefully, maybe, but no regrets that like it didn't happen that way. But
No,
like,
I'm not saying there should be regret. I'm just saying like I feel like that could have been the
Could have been
forever company, like I was
could've
saying earlier.
Stayed and gone on,
Well,
even
yeah.
not as a pro, just working in the company or whatever. Who knows? But
They had a couple
Yeah.
rebranding throughout
there
their
was
time.
yeah,
so it's
like
not
after I left, it was like they Mike left to do transit
Mm-hmm.
and took Charlie and Stacy Lowry with them, and then it's like the Moses
Right.
Conan and Andy McDonald came in, and like Pat Chanita, and like it was like a whole different team.
Mhm.
And then that lasted for a little while, and then next thing you know, it was a whole other team kind of
Right.
came in.
So
and-
you had the young kids, you had Jordan Hoffart, and
Yeah.
then oh my god, the kid from Arizona was gnarly.
What was the
Josh
Powell?
Hawkins.
Josh Hawkins.
Did
was
they have a Powell video that was a kid's video, like a younger
Fun?
kid?
Was
Fun,
that fun?
Yeah.
fun,
Yeah.
fun.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that
That
video
was-
was gnarly. But I don't think they had any pros at that time.
No.
They went again.
It was
back-
all younger
Right.
kids,
It was
right?
no pros. It was
I
just
think
too
maybe,
younger.
Yeah, DeVille had a squad.
Yeah.
Mhm. That video was gnarly.
That was gnarly.
I
But
do
then
remember that.
Again, like time comes back around, man, and like the reissue stuff, like when they go back to their roots,
Right.
and it's like better than ever.
But I was like in this weird era zone where it was like Stacy was gone. It was just Powell Skateboards.
oh, that's right.
Mike, have you ever thought about like going to do sales like your dad at Powell?
No. I mean, I'm talking now, but I'm not super good at the selling part.
Well, the thing is, though, is that you're a part of the brand. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So like that always to me, if I was gonna buy something, to buy it from you would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know?
that's where it was like doing Diabolical. Is like I had some, accounts that were like stoked, and it was fun for a minute. Even just some guys that like, dude, I wish I could buy something, but I can't. I would still spend half an hour, 45 minutes on the phone with them just because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking stories.
Talking
You're like,
stories
dude, I
and-
got like 4 other shops to call.
You know,
and,
I've been out
sell
at-
some
I gotta
shit.
hurry up.
I got to sell some
Hurry up.
shit, right? So then after the Origin thing, was that kind of just like, was there anything else after that? Or was that the last?
That was I ended up kind of leaving that to do Strike Skateboards, which was Ron Cameron, the artist at Acme.
Oh.
He kind of was back at Acme. I ended up basically getting a job. I was working in the warehouse and sort of team manager stuff with Acme again,
Okay.
working with Jim. And it was actually Ron Cameron who like kind of pulled me in for that because he was trying to get Strike Skateboards going. And yeah, so I had like one ad with him on Strike. But even then it was like kind of like tail end. Trump.
Early 2000s,
I think
we're talking?
I think 2004.
Yeah.
I think my last.
Okay.
I think my last pro contest was a Goofy versus Regular 2004.
Okay.
Ooh, I was in that one.
Yeah.
You're obviously on the Goofy team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think me and you might have skated
I
together.
think we.
I think he
probably
beat
did.
you. I think he beat you by more
No.
than half a point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Way
we're on the
more
same
than
team.
that. Way
We were on
more.
the same team.
We were on the same team, buddy.
Still, he's beat you. Doesn't matter.
Half a
He can
point.
beat me. Yeah. I got it. No, literally, this is actually kind of funny. I got in that contest because there's only 10 spots in each team. This is the first one, I believe, they were doing.
Yeah.
And on the Goofy team, there was only 11 people trying out for it. So it was, and I got 10. And
Come on, bro.
I beat Joey Brzezinski probably by half a point. And so I got on the team because it was just between me and Joey Brzezinski.
Joey Brzezinski was out.
I was out. I beat Joey Brzezinski.
Joey didn't want to be there anyways.
No,
Why did
probably
he try out
not.
then?
The manual pad's too big over here.
He definitely didn't want to be there.
Oh, it's funny though.
That was it.
Pretty much, yeah.
That was it.
Then I kind of did some behind the scenes industry stuff for a while, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old were you at this point? Like last Hurrah, last Goofy versus Regular?
2004, I guess I would have been 20 or like 30. No,
Late 20s, early 30s?
late 20s.
How
25.
does a guy, and I think this is an important question because like this is a thing that every skateboarder probably goes through. How does a guy that reached his prime, Prime Skateboards,
Nice.
but then also, has to then figure out at 30 years old what to do now? How do you do that? What do you do?
Tell me when you figure it out.
I don't know. You start a podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Right.
No, but I mean, like, it's hard.
It was hard.
bro.
Yeah, it was
That's
a hard
the
run.
that's no skater wants to go
Definitely
through that.
Got into like some dark places, and it was a hard run for a number of years.
I'm sure. Did you have a family at this point?
I did not.
Okay, so you were on your
So
own.
this is like
pretty much.
2004 through, and then it was 2010. I met my wife, and
Okay.
that's
All happy
That's
times
awesome.
from there.
yeah.
Yeah.
2008 moved back to Santa Barbara. I was living in Long Beach between 2000 and 2008,
Okay.
and then moved back to Santa Barbara in 2008, and then 2010 met my now wife.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Got 2 beautiful kids now, huh?
Kids.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, it's just interesting because as skateboarders growing up, it's all we know.
Right.
We've never worked a job. Most of us just skated the whole time.
Yeah.
And that time comes and you're lost.
Right.
You don't know what to do. Maybe you try to get a warehouse job. You try to do this. You try to do that, like in the industry,
Yeah.
right?
I did all that for a while. I worked tail end of Giant
Giant
distribution. When it was just Bueno and Pop War. Stereo had just left. Everything else had already left. I was hired as in the warehouse, and then was doing warehouse and sales to the very end. And it was,
It sucks.
sucks.
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed doing it because it was like felt like I was in the industry, but it was like this isn't where I'm supposed to be on the
Yeah.
phone, kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah, that
I think
does-
every skater's like that's their worst nightmare.
I mean,
it's
I
coming
would-
to that realization.
I was on
you know.
the Rolanda show
Were you on the
where I told a kid like, "Hey, skateboarding's good and all, but like you should like go to school and figure something out because it's not going to last forever." And sure enough, this was like 2000 or 95. Yeah, it was around the time that I got on Powell. I had probably just got on Powell. So Rolanda was kind of a cross between Jerry Springer and
Wait a
Oprah.
minute.
I was just
You're
about to say.
serious?
I was
You
on
were
a talk
the
show. I was on a
That's
talk
so
show.
I
rad.
thought you were making a joke.
No.
Tell us about this. The Rolanda show.
So I'm in San Diego. This is pre-cell phones and all that sort of stuff. I'm in San Diego hanging out with Josh Beagle. George Powell calls me at Josh's house, and it's like, wait, how did you get a hold of me? He's like, I basically called your parents' house, found out that you were down in San Diego, called, and I think he called Swank and got Josh's number or whatever. He tracked me down and was like, hey, so there's this
amazing.
talk show that like they want you to go on. It's in New York, and this is like November I'm down in San Diego, and it's like I'm still wearing, like, I think I had a sweatshirt with me. He's like, yeah, they want to fly you out to New York and do this taping, and they'll like fly you out from San Diego if you want, or you can come back to SB and they'll fly you out from here, whatever you want to do. And I was like, well, I'm here now, so I guess. And he's like, when? Like in 2 weeks or something? And he's like, no, like they want you on a flight tomorrow. The taping, like this is on Tuesday, and it's like taping's on Thursday.
Wow.
Did
I'm
they
like-
tell you a premise? Are you just like at this show?
Kind of. It was basically, I think George was basically like, yeah, there's a kid that's going to be on there, and you're like his favorite skater, so they want you on the show.
What? And that's all you knew at that point?
As far as I can remember, that's all.
You got to ask a question like, what's wrong with the kid? Why does he want me on the show?
I didn't.
Am I his father? You are not the father.
That's why he's on
It
the
was
show.
pretty much that kind of show. So I get out there, and maybe I did know that it was like, I think the premise was basically kids that aren't making the grade. So they're like, kids are like not doing that great in school, whatever. And so I fly out on a red eye. Some limo picks me up, takes me to a hotel, drops me. They're like, yeah, somebody should call you from the show in the morning. Okay. Somebody calls me in the morning, like 9 or 10. It's like, okay, yeah, taping's supposed to be at like 3, so we'll have a car come and pick you up a little later. I'm sitting in this hotel, and no cell phone or anything, so I'm like sitting in the hotel room waiting for the next call. Like, I don't know exactly when they're going to call. But basically they didn't call until like 5. They're like, sorry, everything's running late. Somebody's going to come and get you in a little bit, bring you to the studio. I like walked a whole New York City block and found a McDonald's and walked back to the hotel during this time too.
Okay.
Little did I know until after I got home that I was like, if I went left instead of right, I would have been in Central Park. It was like,
You had just no
I had
idea.
no idea where I was.
So close.
And then, so I get there and they like put me in some cubicle because they're taping this show, and they didn't want, the kid was in like the green room or whatever, and they didn't want him to see me there or whatever.
Okay.
And then the whole reason why it was running late was because they were filming their Christmas episode, so they had a bunch of kids there and Santa Claus, and they had a Santa tracker. And next thing you know, I'm in the makeup room, and they're playing the like episode in the makeup room, and I'm sitting next to Santa Claus, and they're like, "Where's Santa Claus? Where's Santa Claus?" And it's like, "Oh, he's right here next to me."
But what show is this?
Rolanda.
Rolanda.
I've tried.
I don't
It's
remember.
not-
I remember
I don't
hearing about
remember
it.
this
I
shit.
never
For
watched
sure.
it.
Yeah. I don't know if it's on YouTube or not.
There's got to be an episode of this.
There has to be.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I'm going to look for your episode, bro. So wait, what happened though? You have to go out there?
This kid's like not doing good. He's failing out of school or whatever, and I'm his favorite skater, and basically I'm supposed to give him a pep talk.
Okay.
And meanwhile, we're leaving San Diego. I'm going to New York in like mid-November.
Uh-huh.
It's already cold. There was snow on the ground, like on sidewalk or whatever.
Sure.
And I went to a thrift store on our way to the airport, and I found this like pleather jacket, brown pleather jacket, like full leather jacket. I had my flowing locks at the time.
Full tourist.
And I found this brown sweater that was like, oh, like a cardigan sweater. And I was like, oh, this will, I did not think that I would be so cold when I got there that I'd like double layer the cardigan with this brown leather jacket. But I had like my hair was down to my shoulders, and I come walking down, like they had me do the walk through the audience from the top, and I'm like holding a Powell board and a bunch of product. And I go on the show and just be like, hey kid, skateboard is good and all, but like you should really try to do good in school, because like
You're trying to get, he's your his favorite. You're trying to get him to do good
Yeah,
in school and get good grades.
she's
and
like,
stuff.
she was talking to him and like hyping it up, like, so like you're into skateboarding, right? Like, well,
Right.
so who's your favorite skateboarder? And he's like, this Mike Santarossa. And he's like, can you like say that a little louder? And like totally hyped him up to like scream my name out. So he's like, Mike Santarossa, and then like that's my
That's your
cue.
cue. Go out there. What if he changed it? What if he was
Right.
like,
Yeah,
Chad
yeah.
Muska?
Right.
I just watched the Shorty's video
It
last
must-
night. Chad
It
Muska!
could have been all like set up. I don't
Yeah,
really
okay.
know.
Right.
But then the next kid, he was into basketball.
Okay.
And she's like, so you're into basketball, same situation. He's not doing good in school. It's like, but you're like into basketball. And I saw his eyes get kind of big too, because he just saw this kid's favorite skateboarder
my
come running down the
God.
thing. She's like, so who's your favorite basketball player? He's like, Charles Barkley. I see his eyes get big, and I like start looking around like, wait, is Charles Barkley going to come running down the stage? He just sent in an autograph photo.
I can't make the kid.
You can't make it. He's a little busy right now. You can't make it.
We're scheduled out for that day.
I was like
man.
starstruck, like thinking like, oh wow, Charles Barkley's.
I would have made the whole trip.
It would have made the whole trip.
Did you get paid for this?
No.
Are you serious?
No.
They fly you out? They,
They
didn't
fly
even give
me
you
out
like
there.
a couple of
good
nothing.
exposure.
No, the kid got paid.
Exposure.
The kid, did you get per diem at least? Get some free McDonald's?
No,
Damn.
I
They
stayed
paid for your
in a nice-
sweater and cardigan?
no, nothing.
Well, it was an experience.
It was an
Yeah.
experience, a story
Yeah,
to
say
Did you
tell.
ever follow up with the kid? Is he doing good? Did he take your advice?
You guys still keep in touch?
I don't think so. I don't
No.
know. No, I never really.
At least there were no chairs flying or
Right.
anything.
No,
That
nothing. It was,
God
It was
damn.
Leonardo that got the part, bro.
yeah.
What? Oh man, good times.
Are those shows still a thing? The Jerry Springer show and stuff
I don't
like
think
that?
so.
I don't think the Jerry Springers is
I don't
on
know if it's still
anymore.
around.
I
Yeah.
think that
They're-
craze is just.
Is there a
It was
newer
like-
one?
Yeah, it like popped up like when everybody had a show.
Dude, Sally Jesse
Yeah.
Raphael, Maury.
There's so many.
Steve
everybody.
Wilkos? Remember Steve Wilkos show?
That was like later though.
Yeah.
That evolved after Jerry, right?
Yeah.
'Cause that was the guy that
He was
worked.
like the
Montel
security dude.
Williams,
Montel.
Yeah.
Ricky Lake.
Rolanda.
Ricky Lake. That was a major one.
They had some shit.
Sally Jesse Raphael.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, crazy.
She was a Ninja Turtle.
Raphael.
Oh, yeah.
So I hate to pivot this conversation,
Yeah.
but we're talking about working
Yeah.
and getting, kind of like exiting the industry, all that stuff. But now you do skate lessons and
I've been
stuff,
doing
right?
some
You have
skate
you have
lessons.
your own company
Nice.
that does lessons.
Yeah. So
This is just in Santa Barbara.
just in Santa Barbara.
Okay.
So back when I did Diabolical, I also started a wheel company called Triumph Wheels.
Yep.
I had a pretty sweet team at that time. I had like Chris N, Mike Manzuri,
Oh hell yeah.
Hansi Driscoll.
Oh shit.
I
Wow.
think maybe even Dave
solid
Duran rode for
squad.
me for a minute. I had a solid team,
Rad.
but again, and the wheels were awesome. But again, just trying to run a business
It's
and
tough.
dealing with injuries and all that sort of stuff. It was tough. But I always liked the name and the logo, so I started basically during the pandemic when all these kids are out of school and my kids were out of school. I was hoping to get my kids into skating, and I thought if they saw me teaching their buddies how to skate, they would like listen to me.
It was a big ploy, to
It
try
was
to get
pretty much a big ploy. It worked to a degree. They got
Yeah.
they got off their knees and butts
Okay.
and actually learned how to push and do some kick turns and stuff. But when it came to like, let's drop in on this little bank right here, they're like, nope, I'll do it with your hand. I'm like, okay, but like all your buddies are doing it. Like you're doing it with my pinky. You're holding on to my pinky. You're dropping in. I'm not doing anything.
I like the tactic though. You
Yeah.
know, like you don't want to force your kid to do anything.
No,
He's not going to like it. So
Yeah.
you kind of skirted around that and try to do it a different
Right.
way.
Gotta
And-
manipulate the situation.
Right.
I like that.
And it worked to a degree, and they enjoy it more than they used to. So I'm pretty stoked on that.
Right.
But it turned into like I had more free time. I worked in the wine industry for 7 years.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sick.
Municipal winemakers. I was the cellar master. So I basically
Oh.
made wine from start to finish.
What?
With your feet.
Did some of that.
Yeah.
It's
But
part of the process.
It's
huh?
part of the process, but not all the time.
Yeah.
They don't. Yeah.
I mean, that's yeah.
It's an
old
old school
school.
way.
You have tools that can do that
Yeah,
easier than
right.
Little flat
That's
thing.
awesome. I never knew that.
Yeah, it was a fun experience, learning experience,
Oh.
and I enjoyed it. I always have liked working with my hands,
Sick.
and so I did that for a number of years. And
Are you like a sommelier?
Yeah, but the sommelier thing, yeah.
no, no.
So you don't do like you don't like get your wine and
Put your whole nose in there. And
Yeah.
sniff.
like
I can
swirl
kind
around.
of tell like
Okay.
good wine from like that's not that good wine. Like that's
Oh,
What
okay.
about Trader Joe's $2 chuck?
Yeah,
What are we looking at?
that's
Is that
mass production.
Yeah.
Just like
okay?
there's probably they cut everything off the vine, like
Smash it in
the
there.
bugs and
Oh,
snakes and
Everything.
everything. I
Yeah.
mean, they're just scraping off the vine. So
Right.
we always did like hand-picked stuff, and there'd be some
It's more
bugs.
expensive, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got to get the good shit.
Yeah, get the good
Get
stuff.
what you pay for.
Even a $20 bottle of wine is good, right?
Yeah, it can. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Depends on where it's from, though, right?
kind of.
Yeah.
I'm not a big wine guy, but I do enjoy wine.
Right.
I do.
I was
like
never
it.
a big wine guy. My wife actually started working in the tasting room, and I was working making radiation detecting devices. It was a job. My buddy was moving, and my buddy Noe, he had the job for a number of years. He was moving to go to school, and he just referred me. I got an interview, and basically no experience whatsoever making radiation detecting devices for the Coast Guard and U.S. Navy and all this stuff. And it's like sometimes they would have top secret meetings upstairs or whatever, but it was
Wow.
like, yeah,
Would
it
you
was,
put take a cup and
yeah.
try to listen to the.
But yeah, even that was fun work because I was just working with my hands,
I love
and you
that.
just like, and when I started, I was there for like 3 years. I started making 10 of these control module things a week, and then by the time I was leaving, I was making 4 a month because these were all government contracted things. So it's like when they got a big contract, we were cranking. If they didn't, we
Oh,
were
I see
kinda
what
slow.
you're saying. Are these Geiger counters or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I started to see like the part-time guys get laid off, and it was like right when my wife was about to have her first child. I went into the office to tell my boss, like, hey, I would like to take a little time off, a couple of weeks, not a full time off for maternity leave, whatever. She's about to have a baby in a few weeks. And he's like, okay, cool, not a problem. That was on like a Monday or Tuesday. Friday, my other like buddy, he got laid off. And I was like, that was either me or both of us, but he was kind enough to keep me on board because
Wow.
You're about to have a baby.
a month after I got back from my leave, I got laid off, like a month to the day, pretty much.
Oh, you think he did you a solid?
He
'cause
did
you're
me a
having
solid,
baby?
so I had
Yeah.
health insurance and stuff like that.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
and then, so my wife was in the tasting room working, and during that time, I got to know the owner of the winery, and he made wine at a bigger facility, and he was branching off on his own, and he was doing his first harvest in 2013, and he needed help, and he reached out to all the tasting room employees, like, do you know anybody? Would any of you want to help me? And he, my wife Jen, passed that on to me, like, hey, I know you have a job, but I know you're kind of interested in the whole process.
There
And
you go.
I ended up calling him before I called my wife when I got laid off. I was on my way home from getting laid off, and I was like, "Hey, Dave, is that position still open?" And he's like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "Well, I just got laid off. I'm ready to work."
Wow.
So it like worked out. No experience again, and
How long did you have that job for?
like 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
But then the skate thing. I mean, the Triumph skate lesson. I mean, that sounds like fun though. You're
Yeah.
out there skating, you're at the park. You're doing kind of what you love growing up doing, and now you get to teach these new generation of
Yeah.
kids how to skateboard.
so right at
Pay it
the
forward.
beginning of the pandemic, it was like everything was shutting down, and it was just kind of like time to move on too. So that's when I got the idea to start doing these lessons. Kids were out of school, so I could do kind of like figured it out, like how many days or how many lessons I needed to do to make a living, and was starting to get there. Every time I get close to it, something like summer or spring break or something, I would like lose clients, and then they would like I would get new ones, and then it would like so it was like hard to really get it into like a full job position.
Got you.
So I continue to do it right now, and I turned it into a full business instead of just putting my name on it as Mike Santarossa Skate Academy kind of thing. Maybe it'll be something someday where I have employees or whatnot.
Sure.
But now I'm kind of doing finished carpentry stuff, so I'm working with some friends. And
Love working with your hands,
I love
huh?
working with
Yeah.
my
Doing
hands.
some-
Make you
I
learn
love-
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I'm a big fan of that. If I had my own house, I'd be ripping up
Right.
shit and
Do all your
fixing. I love that
home
shit.
fixing
I love
yourself?
it. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Because it's not that hard. I think
Right.
people get scared of knocking a hole in the wall, but it's just a
Yeah.
little bit of plaster, some drywall, some putty, and you paint it.
It's
you know?
Yeah.
pretty fun. We're actually doing some apartments right now. We're like just finished one and started on the second one, and it's like kind
Rad.
of cool to see it from
Start,
start to finish. Where you
Yeah.
just completely demolish the kitchen and bathroom
I love it.
down to the studs, and then it's
Yes.
like
Bring it to life.
Bring it to life.
Yeah.
Maybe you can help us remodel this place.
Right.
What do you think? New
kitchen?
everything.
Knew everything.
Just move out.
Just move out.
Just move out. Yeah,
There's that.
it's it's inevitable.
Leave it for somebody else. But yeah, I'm still doing skate lessons,
Rad.
and on the side, I leave a little early from a couple days a week, and
Okay.
kind of working with.
And how can people find the skate lessons? You have a website.
Got a website, mostly my Instagram.
What's the website and Instagram?
Triumph Skateboarding Club.
TriumphSkateboardingClub.com. Instagram.
Triumph Skateboarding Club.
Triumph Skateboarding Club at. Okay. Yeah. If
Yeah.
anybody out there watching skate lessons, you're up in
In
the
Santa Barbara.
zone, Goleta.
There you go.
Goleta,
Yeah,
Santa Barbara.
yeah, up there.
Dude, there's some spot. There used to be a lot of spots up there, man. I
There
used
used
to,
to be
yeah.
a lot.
yeah.
There's
What-
still some, but
yeah.
I don't really go at it too hard.
What's your local park?
Well, there's the Skaters Point down at the beach in Santa Barbara.
Okay.
That one's been there for years, right?
It's been there
Yeah.
good 22 years.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's pretty rugged.
Okay.
No modifications.
could
They
use a
haven't
little-
really done any.
They haven't done anything.
That's the one literally on the beach, right?
Literally on the beach.
Yeah.
It's right
that's
by
a-
the end of the pier.
It's
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
right
it's
by the
amazing
pier.
location.
It is.
For
Yeah,
sure.
super
It would be
cool.
awesome to see them rip it out and rebuild right there.
Needs
but
a
I've,
little facelift.
yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
there's a new small one in Goleta,
Mm-hmm.
and it's pretty fun too because it's like next to it's in a big park, so there's
Rad.
playground and everything. So it's fun for doing lessons because some of the kids have siblings, so the kids get to play on the playground, and I get to
Right.
do a skate lesson. Then there's the Dos Popos Orchid Ranch,
Mm.
where it's a full indoor, outdoor, private skate park.
Okay. Wow.
You should probably check that out.
I'm
that's
Hashtag
pretty
down.
Dos Popos Orchid
Das
Ranch.
Papas. Das Papas.
Dos.
Dos.
Two dads.
Two.
Ranch.
Two mountains.
Two
Pueblos?
mountain. Das Papas.
Pueblos.
Das
Couldn't Papas be
Pueblos.
potato or French fries?
Right.
Or it's
That's
pasta?
potatoes.
Papas?
Patatas bravas.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
You're close, Caleb.
Patatas bravas y café con leche y
I don't think that's what it's
Estrella.
called, but yeah, it could be close.
Could be
Yeah.
close.
beer.
Anyway,
You want potatoes, coffee, and beer.
Yeah.
pretty
At
much.
least somebody fucking got
Yeah,
it.
Yeah. No.
That's awesome though, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like you're at a point now. I mean, you got your family, got
family.
the kids.
Yeah.
That's all you could ask for.
You know how to
And
make
then,
wine? You could tear your house down and build back up again.
Yeah.
Right?
You could
You can go
teach someone how to
and
skate.
The dopest thing too is like you get to go skate, right?
Right.
And you get to go and like, because sometimes I feel like whenever you like switch directions in life, you know, it's like
Yeah.
that kind of then falls off to
Right.
the side, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it's
Yeah. You can
part of
get
why
out
I
there.
wanted to get into it is like
Love
it
that.
keeps me on my board.
How you feel on your board nowadays? Good?
Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Yeah.
Knees a little shaky, but
I feel the same
you
way.
know,
It's like,
Yeah.
How's the switch
rolling the
tray?
dice, how we're gonna feel, you know, every day.
It's a 12-sided dice.
Straight up.
What else we got going on? Anything? That's just it? Or no?
kind of working on a reissue of my first pro model there from
Think?
Think Skateboards.
Okay.
Working with Prime Manufacturing. So way back when, Think was like the only company that was getting wood out of Prime Manufacturing
Mm-hmm.
because Keith Cochran and Steve Rocco were friends. So they would actually send those boards blank up to San Francisco and printed in San Francisco.
Amazing.
It's been like a good solid year in trying to figure out the screen printing of that because it's the very first 4-color process printed board that at least that the guys at Print Time up in San Francisco had done. So I don't know if any other companies were doing it, but Think really got into in the early 90s. They were doing a lot of 4-color process, like when Phil Shaw and Dandra Hobel were a pro for
Sure.
them. But from what I understand, that was the first one.
Wow.
So getting the registration and everything has been a process.
I'm
and
sure. I mean, that thing just, it looks like a photo almost,
Right.
or like a painting,
Right.
you know?
So we're still working on it.
Amazing.
Hopefully in the next couple months that'll
Yeah.
come out.
Yeah,
And
hopefully that comes together.
Now, where would that come out on? Would that be on your
Through-
website or
through Prime Manufacturing.
through Prime Manufacturing?
And
Okay.
then I'll be posting on my Instagram, I'm sure. That
Perfect.
kind of thing.
Dude, I love it, man. I
Super
love
sick.
it. Well, congrats on the first place trophies and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been a big fan for a long time.
doubt.
I would go
Right.
to Powell Skate Zone. I would see you at Powell Skate
Yeah.
Zone. I'd have to rent the helmet there, which was horrible.
Right.
And then
Mhm. That
second
smelly-ass helmet.
time I went, I bought my own.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love
Yeah.
that. I mean, look at all three of us are from totally different places, and that place was huge,
Huge.
integral
Right.
in what we do now. I
Yeah.
mean, what we became.
Yeah.
You know,
And didn't spend that much time there for it to have
It's so
such
true.
a big
Right.
impact.
I mean,
so true.
I haven't seen you in
Probably
20
since then.
years.
Yeah. No,
But it's
probably in
like,
between for sure.
yeah. No, but I mean, like, I was pretty much out of the whole scene in 2004.
Right.
So I don't think I really have
Yeah,
seen you in like
about 19,
about 20 years.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Man.
But I feel like we made a bond back in those days, like with so many other guys that like during that era that
Yeah.
like you basically don't skip a beat. 'cause
I
it's
agree.
like-
I mean, that's definitely happened. When I came in, obviously, I was just
Skateboarding.
like, what's up? You
Yeah.
know, like, it just brings us back full circle because we know what we were doing at that time that, again, it was very impactful. You
Right.
know what I mean? So, yeah, it was just to coming full circle is
Right,
pretty
right.
rad.
yeah, right.
And it's funny because that park was only around for what, 3 years,
3 or 4 years, right?
Very short time.
Very
Yeah.
short time.
I
I got to
wish,
bring that back.
I wish it was still there. Holy
Tell me about
There should be like a
Like that.
recreation of it or something.
Yeah.
something. Like, 'cause
Dude,
it
that
was
park
really,
was huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
Build that in concrete.
Yeah.
that would be
Ooh.
amazing. And those fucking, the ramps that were behind the scene, like,
Mhm.
we focused on, like, obviously the street
street
part,
course.
the street course part of it. But, dude, the fucking ramps behind it was like bowls with spines. Like, it was nuts. You know, and just to replicate that and bring that back would be fucking amazing.
And then they had like the little kids course
Oh,
the
to
little
in the
fun
front to the left. Yeah.
in the front
Yeah.
to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The front to the left.
Yeah, right when you walk in.
Which I'd mess around there a lot too.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
where
think
everybody was like kind of like doing their flat ground, just
Yeah.
kind of getting ready
Yeah.
for their runs too, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Fun times, man.
it was good times.
Good
man.
times.
We all got to find our Powell skateboard cards, man.
Dude, I'd had that. There's so many things I've lost along this path.
Dubs, of all the people, you keep all your
I know.
shit.
And then there was a moment then I was like, since I didn't find certain things, I'm like, I'm keeping everything. Straight up.
Learn your lesson.
I did, bro. Really.
Where is that card? You know what? I'm going to just keep everything from now on.
We're
Yeah.
keeping everything from now on.
I used to know how to run that machine. So
Yeah.
The laminated?
yeah, the laminate machine and
Oh
take the
my
photos and all
God.
that.
Oh,
So
wow.
I had a bunch of them.
What
random.
good times, man.
There were some good people that worked there too. Shout out to them. I don't remember their names, but there was definitely like I remember one time when I went there and I didn't have no money, and dude let me. He's like, "You give me next time," and let me roll.
That's
I was
cool.
like, "Man, dude, those are the little things that you
That's
remember."
why it's out of
that,
business.
I was gonna
That's
just
probably
say
why.
that, Rush.
Probably- that's
basically
probably
why
why.
it ended.
but yeah, shout out to that dude that fucking hooked
Right.
it up, man.
Mike, this has been great, bro.
This has been
great.
I loved all your stories, dude. Such a rich stuff that I had no idea. That's why I love the show because, like,
Right.
I mean, you had like Lance Mountain's ramp. I
Yeah.
mean, your dad's and parents worked for Powell. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's amazing.
all this stuff is so dope. I love it. I love hearing about it.
Yeah,
Can we give you some 9 Club stuff to take back up
Sure,
with you?
I would love it.
Drink some coffee. and
course.
stuff.
I
Kelly,
would
we
love
do
it.
that.
Of course.
Coffee,
What
bro.
what size?
A large.
Large guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
good times, bro.
What some people would do nowadays to have a ramp built by Lance Mountain. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
there's just those little things.
Yeah.
That ramp would be on eBay right now for like 10 grand.
Easy. Yeah, you got to pick it up local though.
Right.
You ain't shipping that to you.
Shipping that.
No, it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I mean, pretty well. Even like in the pro career too, is just
Yeah.
like felt like I was hearing the different people tell their stories here. It's just like, yeah, I was there.
Right.
I was right there with all that like going down, like
And certain stories. No,
certain
Totally.
stories, and it's just like such an amazing time that we all were fortunate enough to be around. And
Definitely.
For sure.
Skateboarding has been very nice, I think, in
Yeah.
those senses of just having those memories and
Right.
really be able to, again, come full circle and be like, man, and reflect on it. It's so fucking rad, you
Right.
know? Because there were great times.
Mike, who are some of your favorite skaters of today? Like new kids.
Whew, good question.
Thank you, Kelly.
Put me on the spot.
You don't
I
have
know,
to.
right? There's so many, bro.
There
at the
are
end of the day.
so many.
So you follow a lot of the skating still, like
Yeah.
Jamie Foy, Zions, Dylan Jabe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mason Silva.
Mason Silva's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Gnarly.
There are so many good guys right now that it's like it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, the
It is
evolution of what they're
sometimes.
doing, too.
Right.
It's just like they're pushing this
Whoa.
shit, you know?
Literally taking Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and turning it into
Reality.
No doubt.
First of all, Mike, dude, honor, privilege.
Yeah,
Honored
thank
to
you,
be here.
dude.
So
good to
much
see you,
fun.
bro.
see you guys.
Yes, bro.
First of all, keep hydrated out there when
I
you're
will
skating
do
with
that.
those kids, man. Teaching them how to drop
Thank you, my
in.
friend.
There's a 9 Club Yeti
Hey, how
water
many kids
bottle.
do you think you've gave lessons to?
Jeez, I haven't kept track.
Yeah.
I have like a solid crew of like 6 or 7 kids I work with right now. And yeah, with work and everything and daylight hours and everything like that,
Yeah,
it's hard to add on new kids right
Sure.
now. But yeah, I mean, I've had some kids come and go, and yeah, I've had kids like people coming from out of town find out. I think you can basically Google skateboard lessons. I've had
Oh.
some sort of diplomat. This couple that they were like diplomats
Oh, wow.
for the country. They were the wife's parents were in L.A., so they were here to visit in Nigeria. They were
Wow.
diplomats. They were from like U.S.
Okay.
and they were diplomats out in Nigeria or something like that.
Oh.
And they were visiting family in L.A. and they came on their vacation in L.A. They came up to Santa Barbara on a getaway vacation. And they're like, hey, what about doing skateboard lessons? Kids never skated in their life, and they were there for like 3 days, and it's super fun.
Kids love it?
Yeah, the kids love it. I don't know if they're still skating or what,
Right.
but like,
That's
yeah,
sick.
it's fun. It's such a joy to see, like, to be able to give these kids that
Yeah.
joy that we all got
That's
when
where
we first started
it
skating.
could start.
Yeah.
Potentially.
That's what it's like. Some kids maybe not will continue on
Right.
the path,
Yeah.
right? But then you could be actually helping some kid follow his dream to become a pro skateboarder, and
Whether he
maybe
knew it or
very,
not.
very damn well could be.
Yeah.
You know, love
Right.
that.
yeah.
Love it.
Here's some stickers, 9 Club stickers. You know what? I don't know. Listen, some kids watch our show. We have older demographic
Yeah.
here, but maybe give some kids out some stickers.
Definitely do some stickers
Put
out.
those on your board.
Thank you.
It was made by
9
Jim Gray, too.
Jim Gray made those.
He did.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
9 Club mug. One of our fans. Hate the word fans, but I use it a lot. One of our community members, Steve Pearson, made
Nice,
that.
nice.
Sam Pearson,
Sam.
excuse
Sam
me.
Pearson.
And it's been hot out there lately, so here's a nice T-shirt for you.
Hot
9
nice,
Club
yeah.
T-shirt.
Nice.
Great. Maybe we'll give you a white or something.
We don't have any white back there, but
Oh, we don't?
nope. That's why I grabbed a gray.
Not too many options here.
Okay. Dude, thank you so much.
Thank
Mike,
you so much
coming
for
on the
having
show.
me.
Really enjoyed
That's
hearing
been
all
fun.
the stories. It's been a
Yeah.
pleasure. Thank you so much.
Right on.
Good catching up.
Good catching up.
Yeah, it's been a while since you
Yeah.
guys seen each other. So,
Right.
yep.
I'm going to catch up after the show.
True.
Right on.
No mustard?
Raj.
Really?
You got
Oh,
ketchup?
I see. I took me a while to understand what that meant. But
I got it right.
Yeah,
What does
yeah.
it mean?
Ketchup and
Catch
mustard.
up after the show.
And mustard.
No
And
mustard.
mustard.
Mike, thanks again for coming on the show. Man.